Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Slot One Super Podcast. We are here with episode 37 of the podcast. I swear every time we're like, whoa, big number, funny, wow. But it's true. We're coming up on episode 40 here. That'll be pretty crazy. Obviously, today we have some very fun stuff to talk about, including Dragon Ball Heroes and the boy Gohan himself, the GOAT, him of Dokkan, if you will. But of course, before we get to that, I am joined by my wonderful co-hosts, Minato's Flash and the Masked Ningen. Say hello, boys.
Yo, how's it going, everyone?
Oh, how's it going?
What is up, boys? All right. So, before we get into our topics for today, of course, as a quick reminder, if you guys want to help support the podcast, all donations and super chats and all that funny stuff will be read out at the end of the stream. So don't worry, we ain't forgetting you. We are just saving it for the end. They always say the best for last, you know? That isn't that a classic expression, right? So of course we're saving you guys for the end. Now, with that being said, we have a couple of things to discuss today, but of course, I think we should start off with the big kahuna himself. Of course, we're talking about, I've seen
who could it be?
Teq Ultimate Gohan is better. Obviously, this has been probably, I feel like we say this again all the time, but I mean, it really is true. One of the most anticipated EZAs in the history of the game, for sure.
Yes.
I don't think there's any doubting that, considering obviously how predominant of a unit this guy was when he came out. And even until now, basically, I mean, he only in semi-recent times started falling off, which is honestly kind of crazy considering how old of a unit that he is.
Yep.
That a unit has really stood the test of time like that, because there are plenty of units that come and go a lot quicker than this guy, and our man has basically just been cooking since the day he came out, which is awesome. So in terms of the EZA, I know I am personally very, very satisfied with how they did this guy, but Minato, being I know you love looking at those kids, so let me know, what do you think? And obviously, since you translated them,
I did, yeah.
What were you thinking?
Well, it's funny because I translated him, and then like 2 minutes later, the global data download came out.
You're like, no, it can't be.
I was like, no, global never posts it anyways, though. So I think that a lot of people have seen it through my translations and not the official, but
Gotcha.
I got a translator correctly anyway, so it doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
Now for Teq Ultimate Gohan, this guy is very, very powerful. I think they were kind of, I don't know what they were thinking when they made him really with the GZA. Well, I kind of do, because they didn't even really change too much about his kid. They didn't even really give him like these multiplicative stats that could be really good. It's in my camera because I feel like it's zoomed in my face properly. But wow, what a EZA kit. I mean, they have fixed one of his weaknesses, I think, where it's like early on, this guy is still gonna not really be too strong because of the fact that he's a character that needs to stack up. But giving him that 30% reduction in extra defense turn one really, really helps him in events like, let's say, I don't know, Cell Max, or global, especially. You guys have like the Fusion Zamasu fight still. I was like, probably, I mean, I don't know, Ningen, if you think that Super Blue fight is harder than Fusion Zamasu. I haven't really put much thought into it. But I think that you could argue Fusion Zamasu is still the hardest fight on the global version.
Yeah,
so
I think it is.
Having that, so like this guy having that 58% defense and the 30% reduction is going to be super helpful in that fight, because of the fact that he would need to stack up otherwise. So like that turn one AoE is the hardest thing in that fight, arguably. So he's going to be able to do well there. I love that they gave him all those additionals. I think it makes it a lot of fun. And 70% chance is very funny, but it does, like, additionals. I think the most fun kind of characters are characters that can do a lot of additionals, right? Then you see 4 super attacks in this guy turn one, and he's doing like 8 to 9 to like 10 mil, and he's just stacking up and up and up with his greatly stacking attack and defense. and you're like, oh my goodness, for like a defensive oriented character, by the end of events, you could do pretty nice damage, right? I took him into the movies bosses, um, the boss rush, right? Where I was there for like, I don't know, 15, 20 turns or so. And at the end, the Teq Gohan, even before I transformed him, he was doing like 15, 16 mil attack stats and doing multiple of those. And his defense, obviously, like, I don't think we have to really like even touch too much on this guy's defense.
Yeah.
If you've used him, we all know how good, strong he is defensively. Even Frieza, you can get him to some pretty nice defensive levels. But it's just easier to stack him now. He hits harder. I think very modernized. One of my things that I really do like that they changed about him in his base form before I continue a little bit about Ultimate Gohan is that they, I think, gave him the key all at the start. The 3 key
Yes. Yeah,
that
makes a big
used to have to
difference.
be a build up, and it really does make a difference. Yeah,
Mm.
because his main key link is on the family. No, not the family. Silly me. Say lineage, right? Was his main key
Yeah.
link, and it's like you have S tier Super Vegito ZZA. I guess maybe if you use GT Duo, but if you could use them with like the Tech transforming Vegeta, and they actually probably could make a decent rotation, right? But it's like if you're like, for example, Beast Gohan, LR Beast Gohan is a character I would be using in the GP version, right? And he doesn't have same lineage. So there's a thing where, okay, I need to get a super tech with Teq Gohan, but he's getting all that key at the start of turn. If he only had the build up key still, I feel like there would be some situations where I would miss the super turn, right? And that would be very unfortunate because it's just missing a stack. So I think they realized that and just got rid of that entirely, and I think that's good. Now for Ultimate Gohan, I think that my favorite thing about this guy is that they made it feel a lot more useful to transform him, because even like back in the day, he got a minimal defensive like increase from going into Ultimate Gohan, and then he got stronger offensively for sure. But I think that the offensive jump between the two didn't warrant transforming into the Ultimate Gohan when you could just keep stacking in the base Gohan team.
Yeah.
But I feel like now they made it to where there is a worth in transforming, because not only I think him getting the crits and the super effective, right? So it could be either or. It makes him a little more consistent offensively. They give him a much larger stat increase before Preezy. Like Preezy, he got like at most like 18% or something of an increase. Now he gets 100% extra stats, which makes a huge difference, right?
Yep.
Like I've seen this guy go from like I stacked him in that boss not red zone, the well, it is red zone, the movie boss's boss rush.
Oh yeah.
And yeah, I mean he was at 4 million at the end of the event, right? So I transformed him. He was like at 2.5 mil. Then he jumped all the way up to like past 3 million defense or something. And I was like, okay, well, that's pretty good, right? He gets the guaranteed additional super, which I think you could argue is obviously also
Yeah.
more consistent, both defensively and offensively. But the greatest thing is they also added defense to his super attack effect. So in a sense, he's still greatly raising attack and defense for 3 turns. He's still technically stacking for the last 2 turns you have him. He loses one of the additionals, but he's going to be hitting a lot harder, right? So he's going to be able to get you past through the event a lot quicker while still technically stacking, right? And there's situations where Gohan in his base form, he could still super normal. That's gone with
Yeah.
Ultimate Gohan, right? So like there is a consistency kind of thing you could argue with that. And I guess that's the only issue with Team Gohan is the fact that his additional and his passive, one of them require you to do 3 attacks, and if you don't proc the hidden potential system super attack, then I think on his next turn, on turn 3, this guy could have potential issues in terms of defense, because he'll have no more reduction. He won't have his defensive stat. I had a situation where again I had this guy in Cell Max, and he got 1 super attack instantly. He survived the Cell Max super, even though he only got 1 stack. But the next turn, I got a situation where he only got I think like 2 stacks, and then he was eating like 120k normals from that Cell Max fight, right? So it's like I think that turn 3 spot is arguably the most dangerous spot for him. But then once you get past that, or if you get really lucky with the additionals, right, which I would say it's honestly not uncommon to see a quad super turn one from this guy, right?
Yeah.
It all depends on your RNG. But if you get the luck in your favor, which is not, I think like even just like 3 stacks turn one is super huge, right? So as long as the luck is a little more in your favor, which is not inconsistent to get that kind of stuff, this guy is going to be looking really good throughout the entire event. I think he does what he wants to do just fine. Partners could be an issue, is the last thing I just want to say. On JP, I found no issue using this guy with Beast Gohan, but like, you know, another thing is teams could be a little finicky because I had to use them on God Goku's team, right?
Yeah.
So use them at 200%, right? And you know, I'm on JP, I'm like, okay, I have Beast Gohan luckily, but then like, you know, if I'm thinking about global, it's like, who are you gonna run him with? Like, I guess 23rd Ultimate Goku or in future Gohan, and obviously those guys are a little finicky. So I mean, we'll talk about it later, but like if you do get like a Part 2 or Ultimate Gohan, I think that would actually help this guy out quite a bit. But we'll see. But again, I love this character a lot. There's a lot he's doing. You know, I said that was it, but there's one last thing I should mention for JP specifically. I know Global is gonna have a different view of this guy, which is why I'm really going in depth about JP content. But like he does lower attack as well. They added that, which I didn't even need to, but like that's super helpful for like the Gogeta fight or the Cell Max fight. He also stuns when he's in Ultimate Gohan, so that's useful for like the Cell Max fight. A lot of these fights are allowing you to use lower attack, especially, or like stun sometimes. So having those abilities just give him an extra tool of utility where you lower his attack, and it doesn't only benefit just him, but it benefits your entire team for that rotation and the next rotation. And he's doing that multiple times in a turn, so it could huge debuff the enemy, right? That's it. I'm done yapping. I want to hear your thoughts, Ningen, because I know you might have a different perspective of him because you're a global player. Events are a lot shorter. I want to know what you're thinking about him.
So yeah, he's really good. Of course, he's crazy. Like you said, is you can get unlucky and get the turn where you get like a super and then additional normal, and then you don't get the hidden potential, so that's it. But I have had multiple occasions using him where he just gets like the 4 supers on the first turn, or even if you get the 2 supers and then you get the hidden potential to proc, even if it's just a normal, it then procs that extra part of his passive, which is super good, right? As long as you get the hidden potential on the first turn, you get that extra part of his passive unlocked straight away, which is really, really good. And yeah, on global, he is pretty crazy considering the content that we have available. He tanks the Air Fusion Zamasu AoE. I did it for just to make the video slightly different than using him on some of the same teams that I'd used him on already. I ran like double Teq Gohan leads against Fusion Zamasu, so it was only 170 leader skill. And like pre-super, he takes the AoE for like 30k on turn 1, which, considering how Zamasu bullies so many of the units on global with that turn 1 AoE, I thought that was pretty good. And even like slot 1 before supering, he takes like 200k from the super from Fusion Zamasu. So yeah, I think I saw a lot of people say when his details came out, people were like, oh, why has he only got the 30% damage reduction for 1 turn? But it is like Minato said, it's pretty much shores up that one like major issue that he has. Plus, yeah, if he had it just constantly, he'd be ridiculous. But
I mean, you would still not even transform him.
Yeah, but yeah, on that first turn, it's really, really helpful. One of the videos I put out today, I know a lot of people in the comments were saying that they did the same thing too. But Global, not that long ago, got the Savior's Extreme Super Battle Road stage, which was pretty difficult because that category kind of sucks. And Gohan was the best lead for it, but pre-Easy A, like slot 1, he was taking like 100k from normals in that stage. Whereas now, with his Easy A and the damage reduction, he just takes double-digit damage, and he attack lowers with his super attack. So he just absolutely destroys that stage now, which is quite cool. So yeah, he's really, really good. On global, like I said, the events aren't quite as long, but you normally get to, like, if he's on turn 1, you can get to the end of the event quite easily by like turn 7. You can transform him if you want for that last turn. I think it's a bit disappointing in a sense because you don't get to see quite how powerful he can be sometimes. Because obviously Ultimate Gohan, he gets that attack and defense raised for 3 turns. So the next time he comes back around, his numbers are even higher than they were on the previous turn. but a lot of the times with the global content being a little bit shorter, you don't actually see him come back for a second turn. But yeah, I mean, he's very good, very effective. I think the one thing that took me by surprise, I can't remember if we said this last week or not, but I guess I hadn't seen him in the game properly before when we had last week's episode. But the thing that surprised me the most, like we all read his kit, when the details came out, and you could tell straight away that he was good. And he's always been a character that was really good defensively, like when he came out with the stacking and everything. Honestly, the thing that took me by surprise the most was his attack stats, like even from turn 1. Like if he's getting hit first in slot 1 so that he gets that buff. On the 200% team, we've got Goku. I can't remember who was next to him. It wasn't anything crazy. It was like 3 or 4 links maybe. Getting hit in slot 1, he's doing like a 7 million into an 8 million attack on turn 1, whilst also being... like, well, I wouldn't say invincible, but obviously in terms of global content, he's pretty much invincible like on turn 1, unless you get really, really unlucky. Trying to think of an event, in fact, even where that can happen. Because even against Zamasu, like I said, on a 170 team, 30k normals and a 200k super, he'd have to be getting attacked like 7 or 8 times in slot 1 for you to die anyway. So in terms of him dying...
turn 1 event in global. Like, I can't...
STR for Geo Blue, maybe, if he supers immediately in slot 1, but then Gohan lowers his attack afterwards. But yeah, so he's, not only is he incredibly strong defensively, which is his main strength, but yeah, the fact that he drops attack stats like that straight away, and then if you do get that like quad super turn on turn 1, you're going into turn 2 and he's already getting up over like 10 million with his attacks, which is kind of crazy when you consider how strong he is defensively. Like I think you probably wouldn't complain about his damage if it was a bit lower than that with how good he is defensively. So it's surprising that it is as high as it is. And then obviously, once you transform into Ultimate Gohan, I've seen mine, like, again, not getting super far in, only like turn sort of 7 or 9 potentially for slightly longer stuff like Omega. He's getting up to like 17, 18 million attack stats and stuff with the, if he got hit first, he's got the effective all types, guaranteed crits. So yeah, he's crazy. It's cool because obviously we speculated about his EZA for a long time. People were worried because, he was such a meme before, like he was so crazy good. A lot of people were concerned that his EZA, they just would give him the bare minimum because even then he would probably still be runnable again. But yeah, they didn't do that. They've made him really, really good. I think in terms of in a vacuum, he's arguably the best EZA. I know some people have the issue with the teams and like the link partners and stuff. So I know not everyone considers him the best based on some of those factors. But yeah, in terms of just like raw performance, I think he's absolutely ridiculous.
Like global versus JP as well, right? Yeah. Where it's like, I think you could argue Super Buu and Global has a much stronger case because Super Buu is able to also live all these super attacks very easily. And, you could argue that you don't have to even rely on RNG with Super Buu and Global. Like, he just does what he does, right? Well, as Gohan, you do need the RNG with the stacks with him. And these events are shorter. So, like, Buu with the 70% reduction could do a lot more with his dodge as well. But then again, we look on GP content where the events could be a lot longer. And, you need to tank a little better to where Teq Gohan's defensive abilities that are shining out more than Super Buus, I would argue. Like by the end of the events will matter a lot more, right? So another thing is that like JP players, we have Beast Gohan, right? And it's like he's huge, right? Global doesn't have Beast Gohan, and that's like his best linking partners, especially when you transform into the Ultimate Gohan. Him and Beast Gohan share 5 links, right? They share a majority of their link set, and that's again a very, very, very huge thing, being able to share the majority of the link set with the LR Beast Gohan. Plus, worst case scenario, you always have the target skill with the LR Beast Gohan too, right? And I would say, even like the GP, like pure Saiyans, Hybrid Saiyans team, I could put the year 7, not the year 7, I could put the year 6 LRs, right? UI Goku and Blue Evolution Vegeta, I could just throw them on the team. You could also throw Transform Vegeta on the team, right? And it's like you have a bunch of those characters that could really hold their own. And I think, the team is just going to be a better circumstance for Teq Gohan to perform better in those situations. I still do want a new team for this guy, though. like I don't know what they would do. Like we would need like a new siblings bond leader or something. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Where we could get Beast Gohan and Ultimate Gohan together on another team. And then maybe if we get like an LR Ultimate Gohan this week, we could also see something like that. Would be very nice because again, his best 200% leader skill is either God Goku or Infat Buu, right? Those are his best 200% teams. And in Fat Boo's team, I don't have I can't use Beast Gohan on that team, right? So that's why I ran on my God Goku's team.
It's funny though because I tried him out today for a video on the Int Buu team, and I think he's actually quite good.
Yeah,
on global especially. I don't know if there are any other options that are on JP only, but I didn't pull the Teq Evil Buu like side banner unit. And obviously to fill all the slots on Int Boo's team currently on global, because we also don't have that Mr. Buu EZA, you're kind of forced to have to run units like potentially Hirudegarn, LR Golden Frieza, and obviously we know that especially later into the fight with Frieza and Hirudegarn, it's all about dodge. They can like just sell at the end of the fight, whereas Gohan, you put him on that team. I just had one of the rotations of Gohan in slot 1, Int Buu in slot 2. They share Fierce Battle and Revival, which isn't exactly crazy, but I think Revival gives like 5% attack and defense as well.
Under the HP percentage.
Yeah, well, and even in that rotation with only 2 links, obviously he's not giving his best performance, but like he's still good. He's still dropping some like decent numbers, still had decent level of defense. I think like turn 5 he was already at like 700k defense, something like that. So I mean, on that team, even though he doesn't fit like perfectly into that team, he's really good on there. And in terms of like, if I had to say we got like the new red zone stage, which I know we're going to talk about in a bit as well. If the new red zone stage came out tomorrow and, you know, it was like you have to run the Int Buu team, I probably would put Gohan on there on global for now in terms of making the best version of Int Buu's team.
Choice.
So, yeah.
Another thing is like Int Buu is a stacker, Teq Gohan's a stacker, Buhan is a stacker. You want a lot of these characters to stack up and go slower.
Yeah.
You could theoretically keep Gohan in a slot 2 circumstance potentially, right? And then like you could just do less damage as well, right? Because you don't have to pick Teq Gohan in slot 1 if you're able to, like, let's say I don't know, Buhan is in slot 1 turn 1, and then you can put Teq Gohan in slot 2, and then he won't get his full attack buff, he'll do less damage, but it still will do the same amount of additionals so that you can go through the event slower too. It depends on the circumstances, of course, but yeah, I think Teq Gohan could work well on that team, obviously, because the team is a team that wants to move slow and stack up, which is, you know, why he's gonna be super, super good there, even without like All in the Family or Cold Judgment, which is kind of crazy, you know. Those links give him so much defense. But yeah, I think, you know, like a sibling bond team would be really good. Then we can get EZA, Tapion, and Minosha. Surprisingly, Tapion and Minosha like share a decent links with this guy. Brainiac's Cold Judgment and Fierce Battle. That's I think that's 40% defense and links, which is huge, right? So like LR EZA, Tapion, Minosha are not too far from here. If you get like a, I don't know, finally Dokkan Fest Tapion, right? Give him Cold Judgment, Brainiacs, make him just like link super well the LR, Tapion, Minosha, EZA them.
Yeah.
Then we can use Teq Gohan on the team. We could use Beast Gohan on the team. That could be a really good team. A siblings bond team, and then make Tapion and Minosha, the new Tapion, like a support for that team. That could be pretty sick, but that's just theory crafting at this point. Maybe we'll get like a Dokkan Fest Goten. I don't know.
I mean, yeah, there's a lot of options that they could do for like sibling spawn characters. I mean, even Trunks would obviously or wait. No. Trunks would not be on it. What am I thinking of?
No, you're thinking of Bola, right, in the future, but
Trunks, yeah, that is what I'm thinking of.
Yeah, T-Fans, right. So again, it'd be, I wouldn't want it to be like a Vegeta, because Vegeta wouldn't link well with Gohan. I think Tapion would be perfect, actually. At least in my opinion, if we're thinking about specifically Teq Ultimate Gohan, or it could also just be another Gohan from like the Buu Saga, maybe, but who knows, right?
Yeah. There's options. There's options for sure.
Yeah.
So
all right. Well, I guess for Gohan himself, that's basically it, right?
Just so much to say. I mean, he's just good, you know.
Yeah, he is very good. I'm
I was
glad
going to say,
that.
what are your thoughts, Theo? Because I'm sure you've used them a bit now too, right?
I don't know. I mean, I don't really have too much to say, really, other than like I'm satisfied. I mean, like I don't really have any specifics to say. I guess it's just like
Yeah.
I think they did a good job with him. I'm glad they did a good job. Excuse me. Obviously, I know. You know, like in times past when you talked about this, obviously, I always am happy that whenever one of these especially beloved characters, right? Because obviously, you know, I mean, this is one of the most beloved characters in Dokkan history. You know, whenever one of these type of characters gets an easy A and it's really good, it always makes me happy that they, you know, did not fumble the bag. So, you know, they did a good job and I'm very satisfied with it. It is cool too, right? Like you know, from obviously being such a Beast fan, I cannot believe that now, you know, I have a new Link buddy and I didn't expect it to be Teq Ultimate Gohan, to be honest with you. But it's kind of cool that it is, to be honest with you. So pretty exciting on that front.
It's pretty cool if you basically if you ignore Bardock, like they've kind of hit it out of the park with like the last few Dokkan Fest Easy A's now as well, which is quite exciting for the next.
Done a good job,
next
right?
one.
Because we saw like Hijo Bardock and then Super Vegeta and like poor souls, dude. And then
I know, like the beginning of the year, remember we were like so down on our luck. I swear about
we got Kefla and we were like, oh my goodness, Kefla is like on par with these 9th anniversary kind of easy A's.
Yeah.
And then after we got Bardock and Super Vegeta, and we're like, oh, maybe it was a fluke. But then we got Gotenks is really good. Super easy Super Saiyan 3 Goku is pretty good. We got Super easy Teq Gotenks, which I really like him. Now again on this new Majin Buu Saga team, he works so well on that team with Super Saiyan 3 Goku.
Yeah.
Exchange Buu, and of course this guy.
I think Gohan, crushing it.
I don't know about y'all. I think this Gohan might be on a tier of his own. I think he is compared to the other Easy 2Rs.
Really?
Just in my usage, I could see the closest argument would be with Super Buu, and like maybe you could put Super Buu in the same tier. But I think that Teq Gohan is just gonna be consistently doing again still really good damage. I mean, Kefla and Gotenks will Gotenks even do more damage like this Gohan a lot of times. I mean,
Super Saiyan 3 Gotenks does like comparable damage to Gohan if you stack Gohan all the way up to the turn where you would then be transforming into Super Saiyan 3 Gotenks. Like they're kind of similar.
Because we'll do guaranteed crits. Gohan's doing like 17 to 18 mil guaranteed supers. Gotenks is doing like the same thing, except Gohan is like way superior defensively.
Except the difference is Gotenks has to dodge a super, whereas Gohan doesn't. And then obviously Kefla out damages them both pretty much like Rush. I mean, she definitely out damages them from turn 1. And then the problem is, of course, just like Gotenks, she has to dodge the big attacks. And obviously there's the inconsistency with the orbs and stuff. So, I mean, I can definitely see... I wouldn't argue with anyone saying that Gohan is absolutely number 1. Easy A. Like, I wouldn't argue.
I would say he's on par, or if not, like, he's on par with, like, the same day transforming Vegeta, I feel like, right? Like, I wouldn't... Like, I feel like if I had to choose between the two, maybe I'm biased. I would say maybe take Gohan a little. But, I think those two are like side by side, neck by neck, in terms of how powerful they are, and that's means a lot, right? I mean,
absolutely.
I think Teq Gohan has a much higher ceiling. Vegeta is going to be better, I think, early on in the fights. Specifically that third turn again, where he still has a reduction. You could transform into Vegeta on turn 3, right? He has a better leader skill. There's pros and cons for both of them. But I think, you know, looking at them side by side, I used them both in the movie bosses event. Teq Gohan just like looks a lot better by the end of the event, and shocker, you know, he can stack more. He has those 50% stacks compared to Vegeta's 20% stacks, right? But Vegeta has the modern kind of like kit, if that makes sense. He has the active skill and stuff like that. So I think it's very interesting to see that Teq Gohan is on par with, or like not even him, but like even Buu and stuff. But I think especially Teq Gohan feels like on par with these like new Dokkan Fest releases, which is really good. I think it just in general just super awesome.
Yeah.
I think also the nice thing about that too, right, is just the fact that well, not only obviously having it be him specifically, but just in general, right? When it comes to, you know, the easy A's, I think it's almost, I don't want to say like a standard of quality, maybe, but like a standard of power, I guess is just the right way to put it, where it's like, you know, it's good that we're keeping them at this because this is how they should be, you know, especially I hate that we keep bringing up the boy Bardock because I love Aziel Bardock so much. You know, the boy got straight shafted, but like I think that, you know, this is definitely like the way that they should keep going. It almost kind of feels like they like realized that they were like, wait a second.
Yeah.
We need to make these cards good, you know, especially considering like even was it well probably I think was it last year? I don't remember. Do you remember like even before you know, like the whole thing with Bardock for a while? We had that whole conversation on that one episode where we were like, man, it really sucks because, you know, like this is the last opportunity for these units to be good again and yada yada yada. You know, it really seems like that they I don't know, maybe they were watching that episode or something, bro, because it really feels like that they like learned from that almost.
It just
You
it
know.
just sucks when you see a character like Bardock, and then like, you know, you end up seeing a character like Super Vegeta, who Super Vegeta is not bad, but he's like more like a middleman. He's kind of like a
Yeah.
6 out of 10 rather than
Yeah.
an 8, 9 out of 10. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's like I feel so bad for people who have been really anticipating those EZAs, and then you see every
Yeah.
other EZA around them are good, and you're like, well,
Yep.
that sucks, right? You know,
Yeah.
I think, you know,
Yeah.
Ningen, you might have experienced that a little. A lot of people didn't really like Super Saiyan 3 Bardock when he came out his EZA.
Yep.
And you know, it's like, you know, you could he whilst he's still good, other EZAs around that time were just better for free. You know, it's just kind of weird. There are certain decisions with some of these units, where again it comes to down to where I don't think they play test these guys. I'll be real with y'all.
Yeah.
But you know, they just look at the stats and the number. Like they look at Super Vegeta, they do the math. They're like, Super Vegeta in his active skill turn 5, he's gonna do 40 mil tax that guarantee crit. It's pretty good, but it is pretty good. But that
it is fun that Super Vegeta
like,
active skill turn, but
yeah, it's so fun. They don't
but he gets killed fairly easily.
Yeah, they don't account for everything else, I think,
Yeah.
properly. So they focus on like the big number and then like the big turn, and then they don't like really account for the other turns. I feel like sometimes, but whatever. At the end of the day, it is what it is. I think Teq Gohan pretty good.
Absolutely.
For sure. And
I'm glad that he turned out so good. Respect on the GOAT's name, baby. You love to see it. But yeah. So besides Gohan, we did talk about him a little bit last week, but of course, LR One Piece did come out on the actual, you know, game, playable now. And I know that I have not gotten a chance to use this guy, and obviously Ningen has not because he is not on JP. But I know Minato is doing a little testing of this guy.
Yeah. So
before the stream. So tell us what do you got, brother?
So I hadn't been able to use him just yet. I literally added feed him Kais this morning. I don't really care, but you know, I give him 10 Kais just for you guys, right? So I can talk about what this guy does
for the content, baby,
in the morning because they didn't have to. I wouldn't have time to farm up the brand new copy and use them. But yeah, so this character, I think their numbers could look pretty nice. So I mean, I using him on the Dragon Ball Saga team, right? I had him with Pat Park and Goku, but I had Bulma support active, and you know, you could argue that's a lot, but these guys were also in Link level 1, where like they would get a lot of extra like attack and stuff like that from being Link level 10. Like these Dragon Ball Saga links could go really crazy, right? They ended up doing, they did about 16 mil, then they did an additional super attack for about like 10 mil or so, right? And I was like, oh, you know, for a free to play LR, like Link level 1, even though they were getting a lot of that support, that looks pretty good. They're also supporting 30% attack and defense to so the 30% attack goes to Dragon Ball Saga, I believe, and the 30% defense goes to Earthbird Fighters, right? Which there's a lot of overlap there. They're providing support there. They do raise superclass allies attack by 30% on the ATK super as well. And their defenses, they get if you only get one super attack with them, they do get about 777k defense or so on like that specific situation I pointed out. If they get a double super, they get about 1,000,000 defense or so. Then they have a 30% chance dodge rate. So it's like pretty decent, right? All things considered, for a free to play LR, the LR One Piece, right? I do definitely like what they're doing. My two things is, I would say, one, they could have just gone a high chance to dodge. I don't think it would have been that big of a deal. And then two, I think their issue is their team, because in order for them to look really good, you need Dragon Ball Saga or Earthbird Fighters allies, and specifically Dragon Ball Saga, right? Because they get a good amount of their stats from Dragon Ball Saga, right? They get 17% attacking defense and 7% chance to crit per DB Saga category ally on the team. And that category is not really good. Like it's okay category now, but like the team I had to run in Jackie Chun, I had to run LR Goku and Bulma, I had to run Path to Parket Goku, which is decent, but like he's not crazy anymore.
Yeah.
That team is just a little outdated in terms of 9th anniversary content. And yeah, that's the issue with this character. Well, I think their stats could look pretty solid actually. I think that team needs to be upgraded. So that's the real issue with them, which is why they're kind of not really usable while still looking good, if that makes sense, right?
I got you.
So yeah, hopefully we get again some Dragon Ball Saga kind of stuff soon, so this character could start looking like, I think, really, really solid. Like they could be a nice floater on a Dragon Ball Saga team. Look, my agenda, Tanabata DB Saga, let's go. But we'll see what happens.
I mean, like, honestly, I wouldn't be that surprised. I would definitely be down for that. It is kind of interesting every year when they do one of the Tanabata like LRs, because of the, like, I don't know, sort of nature of the type of unit that they pick. But I guess it would have to be like the Goku fist to Demon King Piccolo, would it not? If it was gonna be,
for sure,
right? Yeah,
for sure.
I would think so.
I think that could work for Tanabara, right? Dokkan Fest LR Kid Goku, and then Carnival LR Demon King Piccolo. Be quite cool.
I think that'd be all right. I mean, you need, like, I feel like for that, it's kind of like you need that sort of one-off LR that's like a lot more hype than the unit that follows it, I guess, for most cases anyway, right? Like that's kind of how it reminds me of like with Super Saiyan 4 Goku, right? It's like Forku was so incredibly hype, and people were still excited about Omega, but obviously not as excited as they were for Forku, obviously, right? So I feel like that would be kind of the similar thing, right? It would be like that Kid Goku moment would be so extremely hype. And then Demon King Piccolo is cool, but obviously it wouldn't be as hype as, him literally dying. So,
Look,
I think that would definitely work.
I'm going to say, you mentioned Forku, and now I'm scared for Tanabata.
Yeah, honestly, like, especially considering what I went through last time, I don't know, man. Maybe every year
I get like mega shafted.
I believe it was it like 4,000 stones or something crazy like that? It was easily my worst like shaft of all time. Let me see if I can find that.
At least Omega looked cool though.
True, that is true. I mean, I still wish he was better.
I agree. GT boss is just such a funny thing to do to him.
They definitely did not cook. I mean, if that team got more help, then maybe, but
yeah.
Let me see. Oh no, I'm sorry, it wasn't 4,000 stones. I'm way overestimating that. It was still a lot. It was 2,750 between Goku's banner and the Tanabata banner. Plus the 2 free multis on the Tanabata banner. That's crazy. But anyway, Yeah, no. I'm hoping that I get good luck. I mean, like that's the thing. The Tanabata celebration has always like been my worst celebration every single year. Like Forku wasn't even an anomaly. Like the Gallic Gun, Chunks and
Yeah.
the Vegeta, I didn't get them, and I went fairly deep for them. I only got them later. What was Gogeta was not the unit before them. There's a unit between them and Gogeta, wasn't there? Who was the unit between them?
Between who and Gogeta?
Okay. I was talking about like Teq Gogeta, because that was Tanabata.
Gogeta, and then
who was after that? I don't remember.
I'm pretty sure it was Vegeta Trunks.
Was it right after that? Okay, well either way.
Teq Gogeta was 2021.
Okay, then yeah, I guess that does check out.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. That banner's never treated me that well, and not to mention, especially, I mean, it's not really a good banner to pull what you're looking for specifically, anyway. But the Tanabata banner itself, not just like the new Dokkan Fest unit, also has never treated me well either. So it doesn't surprise me, but I don't know. Maybe this year we can turn it around, boys. Maybe this is my year. I don't know.
It's gonna be your year, man. Trust.
It's gonna be my year, 2024. Let's go. Oh man. But anyway, yeah. So I'm hoping for something cool for Tanabata. I mean, that realistically is at least on JP. Isn't that the next thing we would be looking forward to anyhow in terms of like big celebrations?
Because we got the obviously next month we're gonna have just like a normal chill celebration. Then Tanabata's after. At the same time, Global will have their 9th anniversary celebration.
Yep. Yeah, so look forward to that. It's crazy that it's actually like that soon, because like I feel like it's still so far away, but honestly, it's like not even that far.
Yeah.
All right. Well, anyhow, moving on from Tanabata, next up on the list to talk about today, after talking about Luffy and the Straw Hats, is the Red Zone Buhan stage. Now, obviously, this has just been announced. It has not actually been released into the game yet, but I actually don't know that much about this. I saw the little notice, and I didn't get a chance to read into it so much. So tell me, what do we got going on here? I'm sure Minatsu probably read the news on it.
So it's literally just a stage announce, which is really weird. I think they announced it by accident, by the way.
Yeah, because it was only on Global, wasn't it?
It was only on Global, and they also didn't announce. We also know there's going to be a new support memory stage, and there's going to be the Dragon Ball Saga on Global that were not announced, but should also still be in the data download that will likely be announced tonight. So I think they accidentally scheduled this a day early on Global because it also wasn't announced on JP. And it doesn't make sense for it, because how Dokkan usually does things is they have how to explain it. They announce things and then I'm explaining really weird.
Yeah, I have no idea what you're trying to say.
Usually the event teasers are one day, then 24 hours later we get a unit details, and then they have the data download that same day. If that makes sense. Like a lot of times the event teasers are one day ahead of time, but this time it's 2 days ahead of time for only this one. So I think they just muffled up. And I think tonight in GP we're gonna get the announcement of the Red Zone with all the other events that are coming this week.
Gotcha.
Then 24 hours after tonight is when I think we'll see the Part 2 LR, but we'll talk about that in a bit. There's not really much to say here. For the stage, it's just like, we're getting a Buhan stage, which I think was expected. I think what's going to happen is this stage 3 is just going to be all the Super Buu forms. I think we'll fight Buu Piccolo, Buu Tanks, and then Buhan, right? So it could be like Buu Go Tanks. Actually, we don't have a fight against Super Buu specifically, do we? Right? Because no, we did. Well, we do.
We did.
Super Buu is the final stage. So,
I think it's gonna start off as Buu Tanks, then it's gonna go and he's gonna depower down into Buu Piccolo, then we're gonna fight Buhan. I think it's gonna be a 3-stage fight with all the Super Buu forms, but we'll see. It could just be a one-turn fight against Buhan. I think they'll want to get the other Buu forms represented though, because so far we have every single Buu basically represented. Fat Buu, Evo Buu, Super Buu, and then the forms I think should be represented as well.
Yeah,
and I don't know why I've seen people saying like, "Oh, this means no Kid Buu stage is coming." It's like, what?
Yeah.
There's
Funny
still
enough, I think I've seen the opposite. I think I've seen people say, "Oh my gosh, Kid Buu confirmed," and I'm like, "How?"
this just means there's still 30 days left in the celebration.
Right.
There's still
30.
30 whole days left. No, sorry, 20 days.
I
There's
was
still
gonna
20
say.
days. The 30th is when it ends, is when I in my
Right,
mind,
right.
There's still 20 days left in the celebration. So
Yeah.
keep that in mind, y'all.
Yeah, because we still got to get the Part 2 LR, any Part 2 Easy A's and stuff like that. So, like, yeah, we'd be expecting... I think no Red Zone yet outside of Heroes, which is kind of a unique one because it also disappears. But yeah, I don't think we've had a Red Zone so far that only has 3 stages. So I wouldn't expect Buhan to be the last one.
Yeah.
Especially because if it is just the Majin Buu Saga Red Zone, then we would probably expect that it's going to end with Kid Buu. Or Oob. I know you were talking about that as well last week, but
so I could actually. There's more theories. There's more evidence to my theory about that. And since it's related to the event, I could bring it up. But so the idea is that I think this is what I said. I said stage 3 will be the Buu forms, stage 4 Kid Buu, and then stage 5 against Oob, right? And this is adding to my theory where stage 3 was indeed the Buu forms. But I think what's going to happen is we're gonna get a support memory with this event, right? Usually these red zones give like a support memory sometimes, or they give like some sort of like I think most of the time they give a support memory, right? If I'm not mistaken. The only one that
like that, yeah.
The only one that didn't is the Red Ribbon Army red zone that did not give a support memory or a banner, right? I think so, but I don't remember at the top of my head, I guess. There is a new not GT Gohan. There's an end of Z Gohan asset here, and the Goku Day news.
Oh, it's been in the game for a while.
Oh, what is it used for?
It's literally like one story event.
Okay,
I don't remember where exactly it's used, but it's not
really.
new.
It is in the game. Oh my goodness, because I've never seen it before. I swear.
Yeah, it's also.
I was gonna say that's gonna be part of the support memory, and the support memory is gonna be.
Let me see if I can find it for you.
I was going to say the support memory is going to be Goku leaving with Oob at the 28th World Tournaments.
That would be cool. I would definitely be down
that's going to happen, even if that asset's not new. I think that the support member being Goku leaving with Oob at the end of the World Tournament, I think would be really cool. It's not an animation that's in game. It's not like they could put that really into a card. So I think that
the exit skill instead of the intro skill.
Yeah, the exit skill where you could use it and you auto win the event by leaving.
Yep, and you just leave.
But yeah, I think that'd be cool. Yeah, I think it'd be pretty sweet. Like an Oob stage, and then we get like that support member where Goku leaves with Oob. I think that'd be really sweet. Yeah, that's just my little idea about that and how it would work. But I trust you that one's not new then. I've never seen it before, I swear.
Yeah, no, I know I've seen it before. It's just not a common one, obviously, because I mean, look at it.
Exactly.
And not to mention, it's obviously there's not. It's kind of crazy, honestly, that in Dokkan there really isn't that much. Oh yeah, here he is.
Found him.
There isn't.
This looks like a support memory.
Yeah, that I gotta say that art, the thing that actually shows in the news, where it's like the Goku in the end of Z Gi, and then like end of Z, the Goten and Gohan, like all just spliced together there as like the 3. It looks awful. I hate it so much.
From different stuff.
Yeah, it's so bad.
Yeah. Chain.
I hate
chain battles.
That.
Yeah, that's a chain battle Goku art, by the way.
That is the chain battle Goku. That's right.
World Tournament Goten, and then like this looks like a support memory super attack event, like a super attack asset.
It's like Gohan from Wish.com. There's just something about his face. I don't know what it is. Like it just looks so weird.
Like Gohan without the bang looks.
That could be it.
We're talking about this, and then chat can't see. They're like, "What are you guys talking about?"
It's in the news. You guys know.
It's in the news. You guys can look up the news. But I just wanted to bring that up. There's not really a lot to say about the event because we don't know anything about it except the stage. So,
by the way, I will just throw it in there. I think that it's been in there longer, but just the particular folder that here's the. Oh wait, that's a different Goten asset. Never mind. I was gonna say, funny enough, this particular Gohan asset I think it was in the game a little bit before that, but from just the like current download of the assets where I pulled this from, I had it in my like computer since 2021. So it's definitely not new, unfortunately.
Yeah, sad.
Dude, it's also the glasses. Why'd they give him those stupid like sports glasses, but they're not like like they look like goggles, but they aren't.
I mean,
yeah, why are the glasses so large?
I'm gonna I'll get the picture so that the chat can see it. I mean, most of you guys, like I say, you can see it in the news, but let me get it up here so you guys can see.
It's like his glasses are like
absolutely rag on this horrible picture.
I'm not even crazy. His glasses are just super.
No, they're really not good. Like you're 100% right.
Okay, well, that's funny.
Yeah. I mean, I do hope that like they do some more end of Z stuff. I mean, it would be kind of cool to have like I don't think that they would ever do like I mean, I don't even think there's enough animations for it, to be honest, but like an Oob versus end of Z you know, dual Dokkan Fest, end of Z Goku. I don't even know if like Oob has enough attacks to you know, like warrant them doing that, but I don't know. I think it'd be cool. I think it's just the end of Z Goku fit is just like so peak fiction. It's just so cool.
There he is.
It's so awesome.
Yeah, that art is like, I think the chain battle art and the Goten art look like similar, but that Gohan just sticks out. I feel like, I swear.
I think make it full screen for the full terrifying effect. Look at it. I think it's so horrible. It just looks so weird.
It's so bad. I think it's like it also doesn't help that the outlines for Goten and Goku are so prominent and thick, and not just because Gohan is wearing like dark blue, but also just in general the lines look a little bit thinner, and so they kind of like Goten and Goku catch your eyes a little bit more, whereas like Gohan is just kind of like, and I'm here too. I don't know.
Oh yeah, it's just right. Let's get rid of that. But yeah, it's horrifying. Yeah, but yeah, that is when I saw that as the choice for like, because you know sometimes they make these banners for the in-game events.
Oh, there was
like
a worse
Goku,
one.
Gohan, Goten Day, and it's like an image of all three of them, and like it'll be the family Kamehameha character sprites or something like that, and they all sort of like, you know, they look pretty good. And then this is just horrible. Like I open my three separate images and just paste them into the picture. Like it's so bad.
It is bad. Let me see if I can find you know what was the other one that they did that was like really weird. They did like, I'm trying to find the JP tweet of it because I don't think Global tweeted it out.
Someone in the chat said Clark Kent, Han.
Literally, bro, it's like he thinks he's Superman. He literally thinks he's Superman. Hold on, I gotta find this now that we're talking about it. Is it this one? No. Okay, here. To be honest, they're all kind of bad. To be 100% honest with you. So this one is really weird to me because like you have, you know, Goku from Vegeta and Goku, and then you have, I think that's STR Ultimate Gohan, if am I not mistaken?
Yeah, the one tournament one, I think. Yeah,
and then you got the boy Goten.
Very Goten, yeah.
Like he feels so out of place. I don't know. Even like they all kind of look a little bit weird. Like even this one, like the mission reward one, that's like an asset from Int 3Ku's SA.
Yeah,
the mission reward one.
That's an asset from SR Ultimate Gohan, probably, right?
No, well, I think that's SR Teq Ultimate Gohan. I'm pretty sure is what that is.
Yeah, it is actually. You're right. That is SR Teq Ultimate Gohan.
Yeah, and then the trunk or the trunks. The Goten is from that one. I think it's the STR Goten and Trunks.
Oh yeah, the Side Bunny and Vegeta.
Yeah,
Leaps and Bounds Ultimate Gohan. That's what that's always called.
Yeah, I don't know, man. It's like it's so weird the choices that they decide to do. Like, why would they not pick something more coherent? I don't know.
Attack and defense 40% when key is 10 or more.
Let's go! Fire!
Attack, yo! He stacks attack, chat.
Those are the funny units that like you could get somebody to do some like shenanigans with that, where you know you could have them like do a run where they, you know, basically like try and get them as high attack as possible since you could just stack the units like that. I love when people do that with like these random goofy, stinky units. It's always so funny.
That's funny, yeah.
But anyhow, moving on from graphic design is my passion. We of course will be waiting to see what becomes of the Buhan Red Zone. That'll be very interesting to see, and obviously subsequent Red Zones that we get for this. Now, before we get to our speculation on part 2, we have happiness and sadness, two sides of the same coin. Oh,
Heroes
boy.
is God! Yeah!
Yes. So,
I was kidding. It was a joke. Sorry.
here is the gist. If you are not familiar, on Goku Day, which was the 9th, they announced on the official SDBH Twitter that they were going to be making a special announcement. Time for a special announcement of what was going to be coming up for SDBH. And they announced that they're actually going to be releasing a new Dragon Ball arcade game called Dragon Ball Super Divers. Now, I don't think that it's actually Dragon Ball Super Divers, as in Dragon Ball Super of the name of the anime. I think it's just Dragon Ball and then space Super Divers.
Yeah.
They're always way too confusing using Super in the name, but go off, King.
Do we have a
the logo and stuff?
logo?
Yeah.
Do we have what's the logo?
Yeah, I've got the guy that made the thumbnail for my video got the
logo
for it. I can bring
I
up
posted
Yeah, Dragon Ball and then Super Divers.
Super
It would
Divers.
have the Dragon Ball Super logo.
Right, it would have the Cho symbol. Yeah,
the Cho. Yeah, exactly.
It's so funny. I swear, man. They're always so goofy about using the word super in the title. Like, we have Dragon Ball Hero, Super Dragon Ball Heroes. We have Dragon Ball Super Superhero. Now we have this. Come on, man. Regardless, so basically what this is that this arcade game is going to be the replacement for the current Super Dragon Ball Heroes arcade game. The Dragon Ball Super Dragon Ball Heroes. I'm just going to call it SDBH to keep it simple in my head. The SDBH arcade game, right, is going to be officially ending. It's not ending like right now, right? Like this very second. It's not like it's over. They still have, I think, like a month or 2 of content to go through or something like that, because they have to end the current shenanigans that are going on. And there's still like stuff that's already announced that's like going to be coming out. So it's not like it's done like right now. But basically, the current SDBH is going to be ending. And the Dragon Ball Super Divers is going to be replacing it. Now, what is interesting in terms of the actual game itself, and of course, in a second, we'll talk about what this could mean in the context of Dokkan. But what's interesting about this is that, first of all, like they said, SDBH is going to be like ending, right? Like it's going to be over.
Mhm.
However, obviously that is like 13 years of cards that they have released for the game, right? The physical cards, which I actually have a couple of them myself. But those cards are going to be used on a actual SDBH mode that is going to be in the game, that is going to be in the like as like a side mode in Divers. In fact, let me pull up the tweet from Goresh, because Goresh made a detailed explanation of it. Let me actually read you the tweet. Dragon Ball Heroes will reach its end of service with the release of Dragon Ball Super Divers. Since Dragon Ball Super Divers is a brand new game with new rules and new cards, Dragon Ball Heroes cards will not be usable. However, a Dragon Ball Heroes mode is planned to be implemented with Dragon Ball Super Divers, where you will be able to use existing Dragon Ball Heroes cards, including your avatar. For those who play through the last mission of Dragon Ball Heroes, a special Start Dash bonus will be awarded to aid players in making the transition to Dragon Ball Super Divers. The Dragon Ball Super Divers machine will also have 3 times the monitor size as to what currently exists for Heroes. If you guys saw the trailer, there was like 3 panels of screens there, which is cool. Tons of graphical improvements have also been made to increase the immersion level, in addition to the panels being slightly angled to encapsulate the player. So, yeah, there you go, Proton. But yeah, so very, very interesting, right? That obviously that basically means that SDBH is over. It is going to be interesting to see what that means in a couple of different capacities, right? In terms of excuse me, I'm tripping over my words here. Before we get to the Dokkan aspect of it, it's going to be interesting to see what that actual mode is going to look like, because typically I feel like when it comes to stuff like that, whenever like modes have like, or games have something specific as like kind of like a backwards compatibility mode or something, I swear half the time, as unfortunate as it is to say, it's put in there with good intention, but then it usually just gets thrown by the wayside, or it's not as good as people want it to be. So I'm hoping that that's not the case, right? I'm going to stay optimistic about it, but I definitely want to tamper my expectations a little bit, because it's like, what I'm sure people would be hoping is it's like, yeah, you could just play through all of Dragon Ball Heroes again in this Dragon Ball Divers mode. But, you know, I don't know if that's necessarily realistic.
That'd be ideal. And I'm not sure if it'd be like impossible for them just
port
port everything in a mode specifically in that game, especially if the arcade like itself, the machine is going to be a lot huger. There's going to be 3 screens and everything like that, right? They're putting a lot of effort into it, and it looks pretty good. I think
it does look really good.
It does look good, and I don't blame them for wanting to revamp, right? For
it's like, bro, the infrastructure, you know, the back end of the game, you know, is like 13 years old, and obviously they've done everything they can to be able to like upgrade the game. But
even in terms of like storytelling, there's only so far you could like really go at a certain point, and
there's only so much you can do.
Refreshing only just makes things a lot more. Again, like maybe they'll make an actual, because the hero story does jump a lot back and forth, but I don't think any of us really watches Heroes for the story. You know
Except for me.
Well, yeah, but like, you know, or like, yeah, the story Heroes is peak storytelling. Heroes is peak this, like,
it's just
mega action and shenanigans, right? That's why a lot of people liked Heroes. Maybe this time the story will have more, I guess, like that put into
cohesion,
it, like linear, like a more linear story, you know, like you said, cohesion, right? And then it could allow for, you know, creative inspiration, not inspiration, but like, you know, just more creativity, right? And making things different. I think that could be really good, making things fresh for the brand, you know, even in terms of like a business aspect, like, you know, making something brand new for stockholders to be like interested in investing in, right?
Yeah, true.
Instead of the same old thing with the new graphical updates and everything. So again, with that machine being like an upgraded version, essentially, I wouldn't be surprised if they made they just put the Dragon Ball Heroes as a side thing in there. Like let's put the entire game in there, especially because it's so old. I don't think it would be that big of a deal to just pour everything over there. But
yeah, I don't think so. And I mean, not to mention, right, you would think that they would want to do that, because obviously the whole thing is that, like, you know, that's so many years of cards that people have, you know, like purchased, that I would think that they wouldn't want to almost like, I mean, obviously stuff like that happens.
Scrap it, right? But like,
right, you know. I wouldn't think they would want to screw their players out of it, but I mean, like, to be fair, that's what happens with a lot of card games, right? I mean, like, you know, even in like competitive card games, I'll just use like Pokemon as an example, right? It's like every new generation of Pokemon, you know, all of the old cards are not usable in competitive play anymore, right? You have to use like the new sets that are part of like, you know, the new moniker. So,
and you know, I mean, eventually with Dokkan, if they shut down Dokkan and make another gacha for Dragon Ball,
right,
we'll use Dokkan cards for that. So like,
those cards
I
might
get
not
it,
be usable,
but they did already say that there would be a mode for Heroes at the
so
if they didn't say that, then
it would be a lot worse. I just hope that they like actually do the mode good, and it's not just like, oh, sandbox mode, you know, you can use these cards and then you can fight against like a generic boss, and then like that's it, right? Like, I'm hoping that that's not what it is.
They should
You
just put
know,
the heroes like game mode, like in the
right?
entire thing in there, or like
I'm hoping so.
streamline it. Maybe they'll cut some things, obviously, but like the majority of the heroes' spirit should be in there, like at the store
Yeah,
and stuff like that, right?
Mm.
Could be really interesting, but
I
that's
definitely
really
think
it.
so.
I think,
And not
yeah.
the only other thing that I will say. So this is one thing that I wanted to mention. The final thing I wanted to say before we got to the Dokkan part of it, right?
Mhm.
Is that there is one thing that I will say I'm a little bit worried about, but also not that worried about at the same time. The interesting thing, right? And obviously this was just a very brief trailer, so it's hard to say that obviously, like of course we don't know everything from the small little snippet that they showed.
Yeah.
But the interesting thing about what they showed is that they only showed canon characters in the new cards that they, like were using in the trailer of the game. So it is going to be interesting to see if some of these Dragon Ball Heroes original concepts and characters are going to make it over to Dragon Ball Divers, or if they're just going to end with it. Now, the one thing that I will say, the thing I wanted to mention why I'm not that worried about it before I go ahead, is just that funny enough, this same thing happened all those years ago when the original Dragon Ball Heroes was introduced.
Yeah, we got Super Dragon Ball Heroes.
Right. When the OG Dragon Ball Heroes was introduced, basically like these characters were not there. Like they had some funny shenanigans, right? Like I remember there was an old DBH trailer where it was like half the villains were like Majin versions, but like they didn't have all these like Xeno characters and stuff like that. They didn't have like all the time patrol shenanigans, right? Like really that wasn't really there. That was more of a Super Dragon Ball Heroes thing, and that was what really pushed that to the forefront of like the game's, like story and lore and all of that. So it would not surprise me if what they decide to do is, they basically try and keep it a little bit more with like canon stuff towards the beginning, because that's what DBH did in the beginning. And then if we get Super Dragon Ball Super Divers or something like that, I hope that's not what they call it.
I don't think they would really even change the name. I think they
no, I don't think
in my opinion they have intentions to put those forms in there, because again I think Gresh even said himself in a tweet, but it's like the main attraction of Heroes was all the crazy forms and shenanigans going on there. So I would be surprised if they choose not to continue with that eventually. Like obviously, I think for a starting trailer, they're not going to start off with Super Saiyan 4 Xeno Gogeta, right?
Oh yeah.
I think they're going to start off with the basics, and then they'll expand out over time as they set like a bedrock for the game. They get feedback on people, like how the game is, then they expand from there, right? I think is a perfect way to start off, a brand new game like that, right? Just start with the basics, see how things go. But at this point we could just really talk about the Dokkan aspect of this. Yeah. And if you don't mind, I can continue.
Go for it.
It's up to you. So,
well, I thought I'd jump in because I haven't really said anything.
Actually,
and it's,
sit down.
We're on the heroes.
Let Ningen go.
Yeah, so it's that's the thing. When it comes to the divers side, everything you guys have been saying, it's nothing there that I disagree with. I do think it's weird that, as Theo said, like we've only seen the canon characters. Maybe they will be branching out into that stuff, but you would kind of hope that for the preview trailer they would show some of that stuff just to kind of keep people who have been big fans of the hero stuff and been playing it for so long to kind of like reassure them that actually that stuff is still going to continue in this new thing, because that would be my only worry, is if it's only the canon stuff. It's one of those things where, like, as much as we all love Dragon Ball, it's like, I think we kind of talked about it in the past when we talked about Kakarot when it first came out and stuff like that. It's like, it's just if it's just the canon stuff, then it's just another Dragon Ball game where you're playing the same stuff that we've done over and over again in all these other Dragon Ball games. And that's one of the things that, obviously, as we said, is the big drawing point for Heroes, having all of that unique stuff. And it's weird because obviously the engine will be upgraded and everything, but it's the similar style thing where it's the arcade machine, you use the physical cards to like use your team. I'm assuming it has will have a similar sort of gacha element where you can get cards out of the machine and all that kind of stuff. So it seems weird to just replace what they had with something that is completely different in the sense that it is just all canon stuff. So that would certainly be very disappointing.
It would be if they actually did. I just don't see them.
Yeah, I hope that they won't, but yeah, that would be kind of cool. Like, I guess if they bring out this, if another trailer comes out fairly soon and then it does show some of that stuff in it, then like I say, that would be kind of reassuring to a lot of people.
Yeah.
Especially because,
I mean, like, even if they would have just threw Xeno Goku as one of the cards, you know?
yeah,
This being an announcement trailer, I think that they want to just do the very bare minimum, right? When we get an actual teaser trailer for, like, you know, the gameplay and stuff like that, I think maybe we could see some of that hero stuff. And they did announce, again, they did also announce that you're going to be able to use the heroes cards in there as well. So, like, in some way, it's still going to be connected with heroes in a sense.
The problem with that is it's the, like they said, it's like one mode. So
yeah,
it's kind
a separate
of
mode.
It's kind of
but
like
that,
you know,
because of that, I feel like we're going to see that kind of same heroes kind of characters in the new
hopefully
game, right?
Because the problem is the thing that is worrying, I guess, for like is that they've said that they're going to be usable in a specific mode for the heroes cards. But the problem is, especially with it being an arcade machine, so assumingly even for the heroes mode, you're still going to have to put money into it to play it, is the new game and the way the new stuff works, I would assume, is kind of like the way the old ones were with the heroes machines, where playing the actual proper game content and all the new events that come out and all that stuff is how you get all of the new cards and everything.
Yeah.
And then the heroes mode is just going to be this like side thing. It's kind of like almost, I'm trying to think of there isn't really a good example, like a one-to-one comparison for Dokkan, but it's almost like something like, you know, when a new boss rush comes out, like no one really cares about that anymore. It's just a thing that they add in the game that you can play. The example's not great, I guess, because people love getting 35 free stones, but there's no reason to play it other than getting the stones. You don't get like anything particularly good out of it. You don't advance your account. You're not unlocking other cool stuff. So it's like, it feels like it could just be this like side mode that there's essentially no reason to play other than, well, you have the heroes cards already and this is the only way you can use them, which I think will be very disappointing if it is this just kind of tacked on like side mode that doesn't really, like, what's the point of playing it essentially other than to actually get some use out of the heroes cards that you own already.
I agree,
but obviously we don't know about it yet, so it just kind of
that's
why I was
that's another thing where it's like we're talking about this, but like, and then the night, like, let's say in a week we get an announcement and then it's like debunks everything we're saying.
Could be.
It could be.
But that's the fun thing about speculation, you know. We could always talk about it, think about it, and it's always fun to like
but I mean,
these kind of things.
Obviously, the big thing, of course, which is the topic we were getting onto, is like how will this affect Dokkan's legacy? Because that, you know, if Heroes stops being a thing, then are we still going to get Heroes collabs? I've seen a lot of people saying some crazy stuff, you know, far-fetched in my opinion. You know, people saying things like, if we don't get any more Heroes collabs, that means they can't Easy A the remaining characters that need Easy A's and stuff. I don't think it would go that far.
Well, I don't know about that because they never Easy their Raleigh characters, and they haven't. And it's a little different because Raleigh is a different series
and it's
than Dragon Ball.
That was like one and done, right, as well.
I don't know, because there's a good chance that they also just never return the Heroes units again. I think that's like a pretty good shot that the Heroes units don't return again. We don't ever get other Easy A's for the Heroes characters.
I mean, as sad as that is to say, that isn't so far-fetched from the perspective of other gachas, right? Where, like, one other gacha game, like, honestly, to be fair, or, like, to Dokkan, right? To give Dokkan kind of a W on this one. Really, Dokkan is a gacha game that is very interesting in the way that it operates, and it operates very much so out of the usual scope of how other gacha games, like, you know, do their thing. Because when it comes to collabs specifically, right, obviously Dokkan is only collabing with Dragon Ball stuff, right? That much is fair, and so it might be a little bit different on that front. But when it comes down to it, a lot of other gacha games, in fact, I'd say most other gacha games, honestly, don't return collabs, or in the way of like, it's not like guaranteed that a collab is going to rerun, because a lot of the time like a collab will come, and most players who play these gacha games, it's safe to assume, hey, this is your one chance to get the character. If you don't get them, that's it. Tough luck, Buttercup. You know, it's over.
Fontaine didn't make a good point where they did easy the fusion characters like years after they were released.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's honestly, I don't want to be like rude in saying this, but I think it's absolutely silly to say that they can't, you know, just like easy characters or give characters updates after that, because I mean, and not to mention, I know the game is still technically doing, but they also did that with Xenoverse, like where Xenoverse characters got like a buff, and they didn't even have like a collab really or anything. It's just like, yep, all right, cool, they're.
I mean,
give a little refresh.
Yeah, they've got awakenings during the November when the Hero Celebration was on, because they were all under that same like crossover sort of thing.
Right.
Because it's like the only difference is they're kind of getting rid of heroes. They never really got rid of
that's fair.
Or got rid of Xenoverse.
Well, that's the thing though. Because it's different because it's a concurrently running game that is being like stopped, rather than like, you know, Dragon Ball Fusions is a single 3DS game that then obviously it's just like, well, you know, the 3DS's life cycle is over, and obviously, you know, the game is just not you know, like, of course, being updated or, you know, whatever the case is, because obviously, you know, it's a 3DS game.
Plus we know that licenses for heroes was always very tough for them, right? So this can make it either tougher or arguably it could even make it easier, right?
Well, yeah, because if it's not a continuing game anymore, that could essentially mean that the license is freed up for them to actually do more hero stuff if they wanted to, which that's something that I haven't really seen anyone say, is people obviously I think it could be, you could argue that it's more likely that it is the negative outcome, but that's something that I haven't really seen anyone say, is a lot of the stuff that was the licensing issue is because the license was held by someone else, and essentially they were coming to like agreements that, you know, Dokkan can use these characters essentially like once a year. Whereas if the game is stopping, then essentially that license could then be up for grabs for it to then be distributed around these other games, right? Maybe we'd finally get Heroes collab for Legends and stuff like that. And then the other thing that I've seen a few people, like we talked about on my stream, one thing you have to remember is the Heroes arcade game is coming to an end, right? It's going to no longer be updated. They're not going to bring out new cards, but the Heroes IP, like as a concept, doesn't just disappear and stop existing, right? Like they could stop making the arcade game, and then 2 months after Divers comes out and they've rolled out all the machines and everything, then they announce like World Mission 2 for the Switch and Steam and stuff like that, right? Because it still exists as a franchise, and then that means Dokkan can still have collabs because it still exists as a thing. It's just not an arcade game anymore.
I think
not to mention if they continue the manga too.
Yeah,
you know.
That's a weird stretch, because unfortunately Dokkan is in that weird place with manga, isn't it? With especially with like the super manga where we can't get anything from that. But yeah, that's the main thing to take away, is that even if the arcade game is stopping, it's not like the IP disappears, right? So technically Dragon Ball Heroes still exists, it just isn't an arcade game anymore.
Technically technically it will still exist in the new Divers mode anyways, so
you
know what I mean? It still technically will exist. They're not getting rid of it, or else they wouldn't even let the cards be in the first place. So but I think it's a thing. We just need to wait and see.
I know it's going to be such a because that's the thing, is the worst case scenario. Like people have been saying, you know, like, oh, this could be the last year we get a Heroes collab. But like the worst case scenario is we just don't actually even get one this year at all.
Right, at
which
all.
That would suck. I'd hate that so much.
Because I think a lot of people are saying, oh, this could be the last year for Heroes collab because they're planned up to the 10th anniversary, but it could have been in their plan that last year was last year's celebration, and that's why they awakened all the banner units.
Yeah, that was the other thing. Yeah, because every unit is awakened, which means if we do get a Heroes banner this year, every single unit will be a brand new card, like a brand new character, because there's no units left that need awakenings. So it was always interesting after last year thinking about how they would handle the next banner anyway, because of the way they changed the format. And unfortunately, you know, that could be a piece of evidence in that direction, because they'd never done that before, where all the characters came out awakened straight away. And yeah, it could be because they knew they weren't going to be doing another banner, which, because I mean, we could still get I don't know if they would make it a full-fledged celebration, but like we can obviously still get Easy A's for the older characters, get the Easy A banner, like the Extreme Z battle event and stuff like that. But it'd be weird because would they do a mini sort of like the Heroes celebration as is normally, but just with no new banner? That'd be so weird.
I mean, you know what'd be crazy if they added those heroes units to the because they added the fusion units to the
general pool. That would
pool.
be crazy.
If they add the heroes units to the general pool, like that wouldn't be impossible to think about, especially because it's like Dragon Ball. And like again, O'Reilly stuff is I think the most different because it's a whole other series technically. But like since this is still technically Dragon Ball, like they could just easy those characters in November and then just put them in the general banner pool, have one final banner where they're like featured or something maybe. But that's like the best I would give it. I'm gonna assume we won't get any brand new Dragon Ball Heroes units, but who knows? I mean, they usually announce that like a month prior, right? So many times we've gotten announcements of the Heroes collaboration.
Well, so
that's because the Heroes anniversary streams,
right?
Right.
So that will be interesting to see what actually happens because, of course, since the usual announcement is that month prior at the Heroes Annie stream, and I think that by that point Heroes won't be going anymore. I'm fairly certain on that, but don't quote me on that. I think that we may not know until a lot closer to when the actual celebration will happen. So that'll be really, really interesting to see what becomes of that. It'll be interesting too, like I don't know if we do get some kind of like another update to the sync at some point for Dokkan, if they would talk about it then maybe. That could be interesting because I could see Dokkan being one to announce that, in relation to their game, obviously. Like especially if like I wouldn't be surprised if, obviously I'm not saying this because I know anything, really I don't, but if during like Global's anniversary, I wouldn't be surprised if they would give us some more of a formal sync update because obviously then that's like the next big, or maybe it would be more like worldwide because obviously that was when, well, worldwide or whatever it will be now, or if it's still just worldwide. But, I guess that won't be until next year during 10th anniversary anyway that will change. But regardless, I say that to say, obviously, with last year, that was when the sync was formally announced, right? With, Global and JP was because of the whole thing of whatever the theme was, connection, I think was what it was, the word that they used, even though it, still was so stupid with that whole thing. But regardless, though, it wouldn't surprise me if, we do get some kind of like sync update during that time, and then maybe they even like on a roadmap mention Dragon Ball Heroes.
Yeah, that's literally what I was gonna say. If you weren't gonna say that, is like imagine like just because how Global especially often does. Look at that whole thing with the red zone. We get these things where they like do something by accident or something. I could imagine them like imagine them not even realizing that the community is like stressing out over whether we're going to get Heroes again, and then they just happen to drop like a roadmap that just there in November it just says like Hero Celebration, and they don't realize the fact that everybody would be like, yes, we're still getting it, and they're just like, oh, we were just putting out a roadmap about the sync, like, and it's just there for November. But yeah, that would be cool to see, especially what happens.
But yeah, we'll have to see, right? Because it's like, unfortunately at the moment everything is basically just up in the air. I mean, it's kind of funny, honestly, because it's like I'm sure the like Dragon Ball Heroes team, or even subsequently like Bandai Namco, because obviously they're the ones with the license, and darn you Bandai, shake my fist at you every time I bring you up. It's kind of funny because I'm sure most people probably weren't even thinking about like, the people on the team probably weren't even thinking about the Dokkan like aspect of it.
I
would have to, of course we are. That's our job,
Heroes agenda, baby.
Yes, sir. But like, we have to, I'd have to imagine as well, honestly, that probably though the Dokkan team did know that this was going to happen, I would think, because obviously if they have content planned until 10th anniversary, then, I would think that obviously they would have already known that this was going to happen. And it's not like, obviously, the people behind the scenes working on all these games, especially that like, have connections with each other and stuff like that. It's not like they're, it's not like, Mr. Dokkan Battle Omatsu himself, like, woke up today and was like, huh? Like,
what? We'll get you an email, cancel November.
He's like, Mr. Dragon Ball Heroes, what are we doing, bro? And then he's emailing all the staff, we have to come up with a new Dokkan Fest stat. So it's like, obviously it's not like that, right? It's like, of course, they're planning ahead and, they're communicating with each other and stuff like that. I mean, we even saw that with, Dragon Ball Superhero, there we go, where, obviously like that celebration was intended to come out with a movie, and then the movie got pushed back because of all the shenanigans, and then, obviously the units got pushed back as well, and yada, yada, yada. You understand what I'm trying to say. So, when it comes down to it, I'm sure that they have it all planned out, whether, it is the case that there will be more heroes or there won't be. I'm sure that they probably already know. It's just a matter of, announcing it. It would be cool if they, like made some kind of announcement about it, but I feel like it would be not like weird, but it would be kind of like weird if they just like had some random announcement like, hello citizens, we're here to confirm that Heroes is still happening this year, but you gotta wait until November for any other info. All right, bye. Like obviously I don't think that that's going to happen because it's still a far ways away. And I think just from Bandai's perspective, it just doesn't really make sense. So
I suppose it depends, like if they, because we know that they do see some of the stuff that goes on in the community, and sometimes they choose to act on it, and sometimes they don't. So I mean, if it becomes a thing where they're seeing a lot of this feedback about it, then maybe they could. Who knows? That'd be interesting to see. Because I mean, they could even have a thing because the game is going to be shutting down, depending on when Divers comes out officially. And then I imagine when it comes out, there'll be another post from Heroes, like the account saying that, like, as of now, there's not going to be any new stuff. And then at that time, I could see Dokkan posting something saying, like, to commemorate the end of Dragon Ball Heroes, like this year's celebration will be the last Heroes collab or something like that. Like basically confirming whether or not it is happening or not, potentially. But it could just be the case that, like almost, I mean, every year we expect it to happen, but it could just be the case that we have to wait until, the first week of November, and then we just get the tweets that like, here's the new Heroes units for this year. Or we get halfway through or 3/4 of the way through November and there's just not been any Heroes and no mention of it at all. And unfortunately, it could just be the case that we just find out when we find out, unfortunately. But we'll have to see.
We will have to see. It would be nice to know, but, that they like to, I don't know, knowing Bandai and, how, like, these games are run and stuff like that, I feel like they've done better about it in recent years, but it just like would not surprise me at all if it's just like we don't even know until like basically the day of. So we'll see. But I am hoping, right, because I think it would be really cool if at least for, like the final year of Heroes, if there was some kind of like big last hurrah. I mean, obviously last year the unit choices were incredible and, like literally the best like banner in terms of choices we ever had. But, hey, wouldn't it be cool to end it on a Heroes LR if they really were going to end it? That would be awesome.
Exactly. Finally dropping
but LR, I mean, like,
drop all these crazy characters we don't have yet, like,
bro, drop the time patroller like LR, bro. I'll tell you, I want it so bad. But I will say the one thing that I feel like we're not bringing up that I feel like could be a positive, right? And I guess it kind of relates to the fact that maybe it would almost be easier to like obtain the license for this stuff now. But I think the thing that people maybe aren't thinking about as much is the fact that, like, yes, it may be ending, right? And I know we're like getting a little bit closer in terms of like the timeline of events of Heroes towards the end, but there are so many characters from Heroes that have not been implemented into Dokkan yet that they could do, right? Like there is such a plethora. Like they could literally go back to the beginning of Dragon Ball Heroes, right? Like we're not even talking about SDBH, you know, we're talking about strictly DBH. They could go back to that and literally start from that point again, and then get to the point where we're at now of, you know, basically like 9 to 10 years of the game, and then still not run out and go back again, you know, and do it all over again. Like there's just that many characters and that many wacky forms that have been implemented in Dragon Ball Heroes that, you know, with the amount of characters that they release per banner, they could easily just like, yeah, I know that sounds crazy to have like 30 years worth of characters like that, but I mean, it's true because obviously it's only like, you know, what, 7, something like that, 8, whatever. I don't remember the exact number off the top of my head, but
it's 7.
Yeah, 7. You know, if they're only implementing that many characters every single year, right, they could easily just, you know, keep running it back with so many different forms. I mean, even just Goku and Vegeta alone have so many forms that they haven't even touched yet. You know, that they could do. So if they do, you know, like they could easily, from that perspective, decide to, you know, continue doing the hero celebrations and the heroes collab, because it's not like they're certainly out of characters to do that is like not even close. Like that's not even really a possibility, to be honest with you. I mean, you know, our beloved Super Saiyan 3 Gogeta and Vegito have still yet to even happen, right? I mean, you know, that's something that I always think of when I think of it. You know, of characters that they
Cell
could do.
X.
Yeah, the goat, bro. I want him so bad at Dokkan. But regardless, yeah, nah, there's so many things that they could do for sure. That they would never run out of characters. So I hope that if you know, they do decide to keep doing it, right? Or I hope that they do decide to keep doing it, rather, is what I should say, because obviously there is still so many options that they have at their disposal for obviously giving us some, you know, like really cool stuff that they could still do. And hey, you know, I don't think that it would even be a problem really if, like, you know, they did decide to just keep going despite Heroes ending, because it's like, even though, you know, it's like, well, I guess the branding might not be there as much, I don't really think Dokkan players would care as much, you know, because it's just like it's just cool, funny character to summon for, you know what I mean? Like that's really the extent of it. So I think that they could definitely keep going if they really wanted to, and I do hope so. But I think the only other thing that I guess we'll say on this topic before we move on to our final point is that with divers specifically, because I know we're obviously our main focus of this is really on the heroes aspect of it, is I do wonder if this means that either we will get a replacement for the heroes collab and have it be like a divers collab, or if we'll get some kind of divers collab when divers officially takes over Dragon Ball Heroes. You know, I don't know what that would look like necessarily, because obviously, like we saw up until this point, it is just canon characters who are in the trailer. So it's not like, you know, they could give us like a free Xeno Goku or something like that, because obviously, you know.
Yeah, that's the other thing with it. If it is just going to be canon characters only, then it seems unlikely we would get a crossover, because they're not, there's nothing like unique that is being crossed over essentially. So
right. I mean, I guess it would have to be it would be something like, you know, to be fair, with like Xenoverse, they still have some characters that were like a little bit more original to that were still in some other stuff. But even like, you know, Fighters, right? Like obviously Fighters has Android 21, but even so, you know, we have like an Android 16 specifically from Fighters, right? So they could do something like that, you know, where it's like, you know, they give us a Dragon Ball Divers Goku, where it's like, you know, he does some animation that is like copying the animation from Divers, or it's like in the art style of Divers or something like that, you know, like obviously the super attacks for what do you call it, the super attacks for you know, those Fighters units are like in the Fighters art style for the most part. So right, with that being said, that is another option of something that they could do. I I think it will be interesting to see if they were going to do a full Divers collab, if that would mean that we would get a bunch of characters like we do for Dragon Ball Heroes, or if we did get some kind of Divers collab and then they ended up not doing the Heroes collab anymore. I think it will be very interesting to see what they replace in that Heroes time slot. Because obviously that would be like, I know there is still a Dokkan Fest that usually happens around that time, but I feel like that is such a big like gap that would then be there as well, that would be left if Dragon Ball Heroes wasn't there.
Yeah.
That I do wonder what they would fill in with that gap. If they would just do like another Dokkan Fest, or if they would do like a gold coin LR or something like that. Because I feel like they have to know that Dragon Ball Heroes is a celebration that does make them a lot more money. That certainly would make them a lot more money than, like a random gold coin LR like Ribrianne or something like that. I feel like, they have to know that that's a celebration that makes them a lot more money.
Yeah, it's like we always say every time the hero celebration rolls around, right? Because we and many people in the community go crazy for it. And there'll always be like, as there always is in the community when it comes to Twitter and comment sections and stuff like that, there's always the like vocal minority that say they don't care about heroes. But like I've seen nothing but, since this post came out yesterday, people saying that they don't want the Heroes collabs to stop for Dokkan. So it's something that, the community on the whole, from what I've seen, obviously does enjoy the Heroes collabs, even if not everyone is going crazy summoning for all the units and everything. Like, people enjoy those collabs being a thing. So well, we'll have to wait and see. Hopefully that is something that will continue in some way, shape, or form.
I mean, someone in chat just said right now, like, if the Enoji Heroes this year, they could slide in Dragon Ball Daima in that spot.
Yeah, true.
That is true. We'll have to see, because obviously Daima also, but I would think that Daima wouldn't be like I don't think that they would make it like a specific thing like that, since it's going to be part of the canon. I would think that would end up being like a Dokkan Fest or something like that.
Dokkan Fest still.
Yeah, we'll see, right? Because they could always replace it with like, it would be kind of honestly like not a low move, but it would feel very like disheartening if they just replaced it with like some new unfeatured units or something, like a banner of those where it was like new Daima characters, but they're just going in the unfeatured pool or something.
I would assume it'd be like they'd push it up a week and make it a Dokkan Fest for like a Dragon Ball Daima Kid Goku or something.
Yeah, I don't know. We'll have to see when that time comes, because obviously, we don't know. Obviously, as we get more news for this, we will keep you posted on the podcast as we get the news weekly. We'll make sure to include it in our list of topics, because obviously we know that it is something that you guys care about. So we will definitely keep our eyes out. And don't worry, I have my little nose in a bunch of different places when it comes to Dragon Ball Heroes info. So I'm pretty good about finding out what's going on with SDBH stuff. Even from stuff that I literally can't read from the Japanese side of things. So don't worry. We'll keep you posted on that. And hopefully, I know that it's probably going to be a case of like, we really won't get information soon-ish, right? Like, I don't think that we'll be knowing the answers to a lot of these questions that we have. Probably not even within the next month or two, to be honest with you. Like, it's possible for sure, but I think that probably they'll just, like, keep it with this, because typically that's what these games do. They, they give you the announcement, and then it's like, all right, well, you got to wait a little while until we give you any other info. So we'll have to see what happens with that. But moving on from our beloved Dragon Ball Heroes, wishing the best for that. We obviously have our final topic before our usual last two for the day, which is the Part 2 LR news coming soon and speculation. So obviously, we've been knowing that for this celebration, there is going to be a yellow coin LR, at least that's what it should be, for the Part 2 of this celebration. I know there has been lots of speculation, because obviously, when it comes down to it, right, there's so many different characters from the Buu Saga that they could definitely pick as a Part 2. So what do you guys think we will be getting for part 2. And when do you think the news will actually be dropping? Because obviously it's been a minute.
I think it's going to be on the 12th when the news is drop. In my opinion, I think the banner will be out on the 14th.
Gotcha.
Because we know that there's going to be a data download on the 12th for the Red Zone. So that data download will obviously include the part 2 log, right? Which should be this week. We know part 2 is this week, right? So that's my expectations. In terms of who it could be, I'm thinking Ultimate Gohan or Kid Buu is really my 2 top choices right now. That's who I want to see. Either of those 2, I think I'd be satisfied.
Okay, Ningen, what do you think?
Yeah, I'm trying to think because there are a couple of options that I think would be really good, and it all just depends on like which of the teams is going to get the buff. Because it's like if it's going to be the Buu team or if it's going to be a Buu, then there's 2 options which I would like to see, which is either the LR is Kid Buu, and then we get Int Buhan Super Easy A, or the LR is a standalone Buhan and we get physical Kid Buu Super Easy A. Now, obviously, we could get either one of those as the Part 2 LR and not get a Super Easy A at all, but that would be awesome for mega buffing that Buu team. Otherwise, I think Ultimate Gohan is pretty high up there in the choices. Super Saiyan 3 Gotenks, although I think that's made slightly less likely by the Teq one having got his Super Easy A, but then we know that they'll release same name characters with Easy A characters in the same celebration anyway, so
Annie would go crazy for that one.
But yeah, I do think an interesting like random choice could be the because we know the Super Saiyan 3 Angel Goku art comes from that promotional art of Goku, Gotenks, and Gohan. So imagine if the Part 2 LR was Gotenks and Gohan, and it's that same art from that like promotional art, so they kind of go together. That would be kind of cool, because obviously they'd be on hybrids. I was looking at their cards the other day, and they actually share a lot more categories than I thought, because Super Saiyan 3 Gotenks and Ultimate Gohan are on things like Saviors, Rapid Growth, and stuff like that. They're on quite a few teams together. Their links would be very weird, though. I'm not sure how they would do that unit, but I mean, that could be fun. Those are the things I think are the most likely that we could see. Otherwise, we start getting into wacky what if territory. Like if I could go with anything, I want like Super Saiyan 3 Goku and Majin Vegeta or something as like a joint forces card, right?
Sick.
But yeah, I think a Buu, whether it's Kid Buu or Buhan or like Ultimate Gohan, is probably the most likely. But what about you, Theo? What do you want to see?
I mean, like, you know, LR Kid Buu, obviously, right? Like, I feel like that's
The
just
meme.
like a given meme, of course, right?
Exactly.
And I mean, not to mention, right? Like, even just besides the meme status, like, bro has been stuck in limbo for so freaking long now.
Yeah.
You know, it's like he legitimately, like, even outside of his meme status, you know, he really does need something, right? Like, my boy needs some love. He needs to have an LR. So, you know, obviously him, I mean, obviously Ultimate Gohan would be really cool too. I pretty much agree with what you guys said, though if I had to try and pick something different, I will say I want a little bit of a different Gotenks. Because I think what I would want for Gotenks would be more of like I would want a actual I guess it's kind of dumb because of course we got that stupid I hate that unit, that unfeatured unit of this for whatever anniversary that was for. I don't even remember, to be honest with you. But I would want like an actual LR Gotenks and Piccolo where like they fight together. I think that would be really cool personally. I don't know if that would actually happen.
Yeah.
But I think that it would be pretty cool if it actually.
Unfortunately, we did get that banner.
Yeah, the 8-year was.
That's what I was just talking about. Yeah. Like,
I
don't think it would happen, but I don't.
Yeah, I did see someone say that exact thing. I think it might have been in the comment of one of my videos or something. It was like, yeah, it's a shame that they wasted like Gotenks and Piccolo as that banner unit, because like their animations are quite cool as well. So like,
I mean, their animations are like
LR.
Dokkan Best tier.
Yeah, like them as an LR for this celebration could have been really cool.
You know, low key,
Yeah.
what they could do to just kind of BS that, to be honest, is they could have it be Gotenks, but then have it be a oh my gosh, the
Unit
name of it
Super
is
Attack.
escaping me. Yeah, Unit Super Attack. Thank you. I could not think of what it was called for the life of me. They could have it be Unit Super Attack with a Piccolo, where you know basically it's just like it's Gotenks for the most part, but then you have that like gimmick
Is there
when
even
Piccolo's there.
is there even a Majin Buu Saga Piccolo?
I don't think so.
Besides that Goten that Piccolo and
I
don't think there's
so.
we don't have a single we don't have a
No.
single Majin Buu Saga Piccolo. That's the first thing that came to my mind. I'm like, we don't have a single one unless
Yeah, I don't think we
once in a while they give these yellow coin LRs banning in it.
Yeah, it's rare, but I think
but
it has happened.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, because LR Jiren had the Int Topo, right?
Yeah. Kel Khalifa had the Teq Khalifa and Star Kale. But it's like way back then. So it's like they haven't done that in so long.
Could be interesting.
But yeah. I guess, just my thought process, like, where are you gonna use Gotenks and Piccolo together? What team?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right? Unless it's with that banning in it, Gotenks and Piccolo, which technically they stack defense, but it's like an RNG chance, is it not?
Yeah, I'm not sure.
I don't remember honestly.
But yeah, it's
but yeah,
it's a bit of a shame, like I say, that they
it depends
exist.
on the key you get.
They threw with my boy. They high key threw, which really sucks. Honestly.
But yeah,
I don't know.
I think I'm definitely, regardless of what it is, I think whether you guys will agree, I'm very excited to see what the LR is going to be, because like the celebration overall has been really good. I think like Goku and Buu are really good. Gohan's EZA is really good. Like this, and obviously last year we had, we know that Dokkan doesn't always follow these trends, right? But like last year we had Saiyan Day, God Goku came out straight away like best TUR in the game, and then this year Saiyan Day, Vegeta came out best TUR in the game at the time, right? And then we had Golden Week and they dropped Goku and Piccolo Jr. They were both in contention for being the best TURs. And now we've got Buu and Goku, and they're up there in like the top 3, top 5, wherever you want to put them. And so then, of course, that brings us to the Part 2 LR, which last year was Bulma, who came out and was arguably the best unit in the game. So it's like, and the thing is with Bulma, I've seen a lot of people saying, what if the Part 2 LR is some really random pick, like a Saiyaman or a Hercule or something like that. But they kind of showed last year that it doesn't really even matter who the character is, as long as the card is good, right? Because people are running Bulma on like the Blue Boys Worldwide team, only getting a 150 lead and sharing nothing but like Fierce Battle. Yeah, like, and people are running her on teams where she's literally only sharing Fierce Battle because it doesn't matter because her card was so good, right? So even if the card is like a Hercule or a random one I thought of, which, probably wouldn't be hype, but since it's the red zone stage, right, we could get like Barbady's Forces, where it's like Yakon, Pui Pui, Deborah, like all together on a card. Like, it doesn't really matter who it is as long as the kit is good. And considering how good Bulma was last year, then yeah, I'm very excited for the unit. And of course, for the first time, because last year that hadn't been implemented yet, is if it is a yellow coin LR, which we're expecting it to be, there is that outside chance that it could be a carnival. But yeah, the pity system wasn't in it last time, which means as long as you've got 1,000 stones, and obviously it's less because you can trade in the extra SSRs for pity coins, you're guaranteed to get the unit as well. So you imagine if that was in place last year, the Ribrienne I got with the tickets, so I didn't actually have to use stones. But like when Tree of Might Goku came out on Global, it only took me 700 stones to get to the pity. I didn't pull him, but because I got so many SSRs to trade in for coins, it was 700 stones and I got that guaranteed copy of him. So you imagine if that was the case last year, where it's like 700 stones and you're guaranteed to get Bulma, who was like the best unit in the game. And so that's the situation that we're potentially in this year, is if this Part 2 LR comes out and is crazy good, then yeah, you're looking at like anywhere between 700 to 1,000 stones and you're guaranteed to get a copy of them. So yeah, regardless of who it's going to be, definitely very exciting.
Absolutely. Yeah, I'm hoping that I'm hoping whatever it ends up being, that I'm sure it will be very, very cool. Because not to mention, it's just like, man, since we have such a lack of Buu Saga representation, which is kind of funny because I swear, like, I don't know, I guess Dokkan sort of goes in like strides, kind of, right? Where it's like they go from like, oh my gosh, there's so many characters from this one saga that are all here. And then, they go to, oh my gosh, there's so many, like, I feel like for a while it was like we had like the game was predominantly like Cell Saga. And at one point the game was predominantly like Buu Saga. And then, now I feel like we almost have like, like not that much Buu Saga representation again, right? Like we kind of looped back around to that. So anything more that we can get, I think will be a very, very good thing. But yeah, so we shall see what the part 2 LR is going to be. Obviously, we will know by the next podcast, and the unit should be out. So that will be very exciting.
Yep.
Hopefully, I'm hoping for LR Kid Buu, bro, man. Because if it's not LR Kid Buu now, I don't even know when they're gonna put my boy up. My boy won't even exist. My boy, like, just it's over for my.
They know they know the meme, right? And they've got their like it's like secret blueprint hidden away in the back office in like a chest behind a puzzle door, where it's like on the day the game when they announce the shutdown of Dokkan, they're going to release LR Kid Buu.
Yep. Bro, he'll be the final unit that they ever bring out to the game. I'm telling you, they know. They definitely know. I mean, because they've even like played into it sometimes. So either way, though, we will have to see on that front. And it'll be interesting to see then what the next subsequent Dokkan Fest is after that too. But regardless, that brings us to everybody's favorite section of the podcast, ladies and gentlemen. We have the trash takes section.
Yeah, now, we
do. For this trash take, this was a collaborative effort between me and Ningen. We had me and Ningen don't collab on outside of the podcast often, but we decided to bring a real special one.
This one is something, all right.
It is indeed a take of all time.
Did you see there's the replies as well, right? They have the bit of extra context.
Geez.
I wasn't sure.
Let me because
I've got the original image. The first tweet is obviously on the image, but I think they put 2 extra things. That's why I didn't message them for any further, because they put like 2 extra comments
because they
on
gave
there.
Context.
Yeah.
But
while you get that up, let me throw this up on the screen just so people can absorb this for a second.
Yeah, there it is. Okay. So, the take for this week, it is way more impressive from a player's perspective to have beaten an ultimate clash than it is to have beat any single red zone / blue zone. Before we go here, the context was 2 additional tweets. The first reads, when it comes to red zone / blue zone, if you have the best 6 units in the game, it will be much easier and require way less work and way less of a time commitment. The second tweet says, IMO, beating a ultimate clash requires an entire box full of awakened units covering all aspects of the game, which requires more than just summoning on one anniversary banner a year.
Yeah, so just summon on the anniversary banner and get all the characters. Just get them, you can just get them,
just get them.
Just get them, right? That's fair. And and then you win. Yeah, that's pretty much it. You just summon and you get them, and then you beat the events.
No, I'd win.
So the thing is that if you're like
go ahead.
I think I see a little bit where if you're a brand new player and you're like I joined for the 9th anniversary. Let's say like someone is saying that, right? And then they summon on all 4 of the anniversary banners. They're farming up the events and everything like that. And then they got all the characters. But this also feels like a take of someone that would like get a farmed account with all the dragon stones ready and just summon them. Because so many of these events where you would get stones from, not only does it take so much time to get all these stones, but most of the content you can't beat in the first place to get all the extra stones, right? So it's a thing of it's just so silly. And then you specifically have to summon those characters and get lucky to get them. When you can go thousands of stones without even getting a single character, right? So acting like it's more impressive to be Ultimate Clash, I think it's not true because of the fact that Ultimate Clash is just so much weaker than a lot of these characters. And this person is saying you only realistically need again about 50 awakened characters to beat Ultimate Clash, even though you have the option to have 100. You only technically need
Whereas, like, how many fights are
not
there?
50, sorry. It's like 70 units you need or
something
so,
like
right?
that, yeah.
It's because it's 10 fights, and sure, 70 units is arguably a lot to ask for, but if you're going to be summoning on the anniversary banner and get like thousands of stones thrown at it, then you're going to have so many units to build a team anyways at the same time, and that's going to be easy to beat compared to the red zones, which even if you have the best units in the game, you're not going to have them with dupes. You're not going to have them with level 10. You have to awaken all the characters. You have to easy some of the characters. You need to still play the game smartly, right? So that's a whole thing. I don't know.
And not to mention, free-to-play characters at your disposal, too.
Yeah, the free-to-play characters will be way better in Ultimate Clash. And one last thing I want to say is that's only coming from the perspective of a brand new player. If we're coming from a perspective of a player who's been playing for like at least 2 years or so, like a longer term player, then it's like definitely
Yeah.
So I think the thing is this person is coming from a viewpoint where I'm gonna get a farmed account with 3,000 stones and summon, and then I'm gonna say the new blue zone is easier to beat than Ultimate Clash because I just summoned on this one single banner, and it's like most people's experience with the game is not gonna be like that.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I mean, I even know people who like for the anniversary they got like a farm stone account, and then they've been like playing Dokkan since then. But like they've even told me they're like, dang, I can't beat the battlefield,
I mean, you could probably beat like you could use the Ginyu Force team and you beat like the last.
Oh, I still use them now. Yeah.
I always use the like Bardock team to do the first fight, right? So you can save both your typing teams for the last one. Yeah, this I thought this would be hilarious to pick because it is one of those ones that as soon as I read it, I was just like, huh? And then I saw the tweets underneath. I didn't even think about it from that perspective either of like the sort of farm the count type thing. Because realistically, all it is, as we say, we often like to try, as we sort of drill down into like the wording of the tweet itself. I'm not really sure what they necessarily mean from a player's perspective, but like essentially saying it's more impressive. It's like impressive to have beaten Ultimate Clash, but like all that really means is that you, like we said, you have to have someone in the chat said it is actually 77. I think is it 11 fights? I can't remember. But
it's 10 fights. So
I can't remember, but whatever. You just need X amount of units. But as Minato said, like the stage isn't difficult. Like even now. Sometimes you can get unlucky, and to be fair, the latest Battlefield on Global, I know they buffed some of the bosses, but like even right up until now, you could be beating all of these fights with 120 leads, making mono teams. So, you try taking like a 120 lead mono physical team up against like one of the red zone stages or something. It's probably, I mean, I'm not saying it's completely impossible, but it's going to be pretty tough, right? So yeah, I kind of don't get this one because like Minato said as well, as long as you've been playing the game a reasonable amount of time, it's not a huge ask to have that many units, right? And I guess it's one of those things you can't, if you only have 70 URs and LRs, then it will still be tricky because you have to make actual teams out of them. You can't just throw any 7 units together and jump in. But yeah, I mean, we know, you think about the community response during the worldwide celebration when the Dismal Future Red Zone first came out, right? And like the Android stage was a joke, but then First Form Cell was like, it wasn't
Yep.
super hard, and immediately people started, kind of like with Cell Max, once people had an hour or two to mess around, like people were using funny old int units and stuff like that because it's only one phase in his tech. But when the stage first came out, people were going crazy, like, oh my god, like I'm getting clapped for like, you know, 1,000,000 damage super in turn 1, like slot 1. And so to say that, like, oh yeah, but Ultimate Clash is harder than the Red Zone, it's like,
Yeah,
huh?
definitely not to mention, like, bro, I know this is not taking this event into account, but like, bro, Cell Max. Like,
I
you
mean,
remember what, you know, I know you're talking about that with Imperfect Cell, right? And honestly, I feel like that was almost funnier because it's like, you know, wow, who would have expected Imperfect Cell of all bosses to be like, you know, the hardest part
Yeah.
of the game? But
one other
like,
thing to say is you
you
could
know,
also mention the missions.
yeah, like, bro, some
Yeah.
of those missions are like really,
Artificial
really
life
difficult.
forms on release. Global's gonna get the artificial life forms mission and be like, guys, they're so easy.
Dude, that's gonna be so funny. We didn't mention that. I don't know if we did mention it last week or not, but yeah, that mission's gonna come out, and like, because of how crazy the Boo team is now, like that
Yeah,
mission is just gonna
it's
be a
so
joke
easy.
for Global.
Yeah, that's really funny about it, right? And you have the ghost dasher and everything. It's gonna be quite hilarious to see just Global instantly beat it. Well,
Yep.
the GP, it's like it was so difficult.
Yeah, wasn't it like there was like the Truth Saga? It was like 5 2-hour videos or something
Yep.
of him constantly
Yeah.
trying to beat it, and then yeah, global players are gonna rock up and beat it like first try with the Boo team, and be like, oh, well that was easy. But I mean,
Plus, if you get like an LR Kid Boo, it's like
yeah,
Yep.
because that
Oh
is
yeah, well, especially if we get LR Kid Boo, then it's like
yeah,
it's so
or
easy.
Buhan or Buhan Super
Mhm.
Easy A or Kid Boo Super Easy A, like any more buffs to that Boo team.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, that is kind of like we talked about it before, just to go off tangent a little bit, but we have talked about that in the past. It's like global, thanks to these same time celebrations. And obviously, this is something that's going to change in the future with the sync, which will be really interesting to see how that changes the perspective from some global players. But global gets the benefit of all these same time celebrations that come out after the anniversary on JP, but before the anniversary on global. And it basically happens every year, where if you've pulled like the Saiyan Day and the Golden Week units, then the anniversary content is so much easier than it was for the JP players on release, because they have all these new units that are like anniversary content level, right? Like
Right.
the Vegeta team, Goku team, Boo team, like they're gonna crush the anniversary content. So then when the sync happens and we're all on the level playing field, then of course those same people are going to be like, oh, these I can honestly imagine seeing like tweets and stuff from global only players saying like, oh my god, the 10th anniversary content is so much harder than any of the previous anniversary content, and it's because global doesn't have all these extra units that have come out.
It's
like
funny because you could. So many people are like, Fusions of Monsters, the hardest boss in the game's history, and it's like global moment. I feel like sometimes because, oh my goodness, it's like you guys haven't. Have you ever like? You know, global players. I'm sorry, you guys do not understand the pain of Red Zone Broly when he first came out on GP, right?
Yeah.
You guys, it's just not a thing you guys would experience, and it's not a thing you guys are going to be able to experience that kind of stuff until it actually happens.
Yeah,
in the
'cause
10th anniversary.
that the red zone release power creep was crazy, and obviously the anniversary headliners themselves were the only 200% leads. And then by the time the red zone came out on global, we had like 5 200% leaders already.
Yeah,
So
Majin Vegeta's team, Super Saiyan, the Goku Gohan team,
yep,
you have
Cell, Ginyu.
Cell, Ginyu Force, and then the 9th anniversary,
Yep.
the 7th anniversary units.
But don't worry though, because Ultimate Clash is harder. The red zone,
of course.
right?
Like we gotta just got off topic because it's like this take is so bad. We just had we gotta stop.
I think that's the thing. We all very quickly unanimously agreed it was bad. So
yeah, this is
I'm a bit disappointed with. I'm disappointed in 32% of the chat currently on W. I did actually see one person say they put W just for the sheer cojones of this person making this take.
Yeah, I saw somebody say W because they got a laugh out of it. So I don't know, man. Like, I obviously it's pretty clear that this is an L take, right? Like, I think that I suppose I understand where they're coming from in the regards of like technically, I guess like you need more characters, but again, literally Minato basically disproved that in what he was saying. And I think the thing is just like I think the maybe misconception that this person has it is that it's not a difference in like impressiveness or skill. It's a difference in like, oh man, I've been playing the game longer than you have. Like I feel like that's really it. It's just like I have more units than you do awakened because I've been playing the unit or I've been playing the game. It's like, well, no, that's not impressive. It's just that you've been playing the game for longer than I have.
I think, yeah, like the big thing is like I like to mix it up, right? Because I don't want it to feel stale. It's like I will always update my Battlefield teams to include the newer characters that have been coming out, right? But you don't have to do that. I could go back and change, like if I could go into Battlefield right now and take out every single unit that came out in the last like 2 years, and still beat the current Battlefield. But if I jump into like the Buhan stage when it comes out next week, and I like won't let myself use any characters that are within 2 years old, that's going to be really hard.
Yeah.
So to say that it's more, I know someone did say, because we were joking about saying, "Oh, my Clash is harder," but the take isn't saying it's harder. It's just saying it's more impressive to beat it. But yeah, like if you can beat Battlefield with a box of characters that are super old, it's way more impressive if you were able to do that for the red zone, right, or the blue zone, or any of these like new actual end game content, right? Because it's just a sheer numbers game, right? Like once you've got enough units, especially because you can bring, is it like 112 or something?
Like that, yeah.
So you don't get like enough units to do each stage twice. But since the first few stages are really easy, it's like you have a couple of backup teams. Like I pretty much at this point, I know obviously I have a very good box. I'm in like the upper percentile of like the quality of my box in the game. But like I'll get to the final fight, and if the last boss is AGL, say, I've got like 2 tech teams and like the heroes team still left ready to go, right? Because I haven't lost any of the other fights. So it's just very, very easy. And again, like the take isn't saying it's hard, but I guess they kind of almost go hand in hand, right? Because when it comes to anything, right, like when people started making up challenge runs, like no items and all this kind of stuff, right, is they're impressive because of that added challenge, I guess. Whereas Battlefield is kind of the case of once you have enough URs and LRs, then it's fairly straightforward to get through it all. Which, is not the case when it comes to the new hardest stages in the game, right? So
So I don't know. I think it's definitely a little bit silly. It seems a little misguided. Funny enough, I didn't even think about that too until Minato mentioned it, of like the, farmed account type of thing. But yeah, I mean, I guess that is definitely true, right?
I mean, like, because even again, like if you summon you can't just say I'm gonna summon to get the new characters and then I'm gonna beat the reds.
Yeah, no, it's not that easy. I mean, that also sounds like maybe the person
it could be
re-rolled.
Easy. Like it's just like re-rolling using multiple farmed accounts and then eventually getting it, and you're like, oh, it's so easy, guys. It's so easy.
My wallet would disagree with you, but go off, King.
I mean, but that's the thing. Like Battlefield is fun because
Battlefield's fun.
Oh yeah,
it's like you get to use these older teams, making like the mono teams, which of course for those of us who played the game like back in the day, the mono teams was the meta for like, well, it was 2 separate metas, right? We had the 70% and then the 120s splitting the super and extreme. But yeah, we had those mono metas for a while. Now it's all about categories. I say now, like it has been for a few years. So Battlefield's fun because you get to use these units and teams that you don't really use very much. But yeah, in terms of how impressive it is to beat Battlefield, I would say it's probably pretty low on the list. I mean, it's one of those things, right? Not to take anything away. Like, if you are a newer player, it's awesome when you get to that point where you can fully clear Battlefield for the first time, right? But, Yeah,
no disrespect to the homie Battlefield. We love Battlefield up in this house, but it's just like, this is a bad take.
I would say impressive is not the right word for it. It feels much more accomplishing, I think you could say, almost, because of the fact that I finally got to this point where my box I have a lot of good characters. Like I finally beat this mode. And I feel accomplished because I got to this point of my character box, rather than saying it's impressive because those other events are harder. If that makes sense.
I suppose
think
that's
using
also,
impressive is the wrong word.
it's kind of subjective as well, though, right? Because if you can also kind of say the same thing of like, hey, my account or like my teams are finally at the level that I can beat the hardest new event in the game. So it's kind of,
Yeah.
even that you could kind of say the same kind of thing. But
Yeah, but I would say like impressive is the wrong word. If you wanted to make this argument, I think a better word would be it feels more accomplishing. And at that point, it's more. I think it's closer to being a subjective take, like your own opinion,
yeah,
rather than being an objective take. Because I feel like
Yeah.
impressive is you know
yeah, the
kinda closer.
accomplishment thing, I think that ties into that like secondary part, like one of their replies to the thing with the extra context is the fact that they basically, as the had read it out, it says like, if you just have the 6 best units in the game that work together on a team, then you probably can beat like the newest red zone stage, but it takes a lot more work than that in order to do the battlefield.
No, and not to
So-
mention, like again, like Minato said, I feel like this person's definitely not thinking about missions either, because sure, you can have the 6 best units on the team, but if say if we're just saying like you're literally throwing the anniversary units on a team and they're unfeatured banner units, like if that was your team, like dog, you ain't beating the artificial life form mission like that. I'm telling you that much right now.
You literally can't. So
Yeah, you have the stuff
literally
like the
can't.
user unit of each typing and all that kind of stuff. Like,
Mhm.
but yeah, I mean that's the thing. Like I say, Battlefield. Yeah, it's some Weaver Class is saying in the chat. It's kind of like the first step, like as you're building up your account, right? Because you can't even play it, I think, can you, until you get to a certain rank,
Yep.
Yeah,
and then you have to have a certain number of units. So yeah, it's definitely one of those. It is one of those accomplishments along the road, like the milestones of your experience of playing through the game. But I think there's a reason why like the red zone and for a time, I guess it's not as much anymore. Super Battle Road and stuff is what we refer to as like the end game content, because that is the stuff that is like the hardest, and you're taking everything that you've kind of learned. Because Battlefield, some of the bosses will have some minor mechanics, but they don't have anything too crazy, and even some of the harder hitting ones aren't, no, there's no Battlefield boss that's dropping like a 3 million damage super attack and stuff like that. So it's kind of like you're taking everything you've learned from all of those events, and then the red zone and blue zone are kind of like the final testing grounds, I guess, for and that's obviously the point in any game, right? That's what the end game content is. So but yeah, I mean, it's one of those things, as we've said, right? Like I can see the vision in the sense of, as Minato said, it's more so like it's more of an accomplishment in a certain sense, right? In terms of your overall box status, I guess. But yeah, it's in terms of saying it's more impressive to beat a Battlefield than a red zone. In terms of if we look at it just as that in black and white, then I would say it's an L take, but still an interesting one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Very, very interesting. Also, that is an interesting comment that I saw. The statement isn't about taking and beating the missions, it's about beating the stage. But I think that, I don't know, I feel like when we talk about these stages and like quote unquote beating them, like completing the stage is doing all the missions. Would you guys not agree with that?
I suppose it
I feel like
depends.
so.
But
I
yeah.
think-
Like getting the 100%, I guess, would maybe be the best way to put it. Right?
That's how I would view it, right? Where it's like
Yeah.
I
I think so.
I cleared the stage, but I haven't like beat the event because there's still all the missions to do.
Right, exactly. I would 100% agree.
I suppose,
with
yeah,
that.
those are like two separate levels, right? Like actually doing all the missions is then in and of itself is more impressive than just beating the stage. So I guess they're like two levels of the same thing, I suppose.
Yeah. Whatever
Yeah.
it is, I don't know. I disagree with the state because Ultimate Clash is just going to be way easier than beating.
I love Battlefield. Woo! Bring back Battlefield 1.0. Woo! Make it
Yeah.
faster. Woo! Anyway. All right. Well, with that being said, that is the end of our trash take section for today. Obviously, we do have our final segment for today, which is, of course, talking about the donations and whatnot that all of you guys have given us throughout the stream. So thank you so much for that. If obviously you want to throw anything in there last minute, feel free. Now is the time. But we are going to go ahead and read out everything that has come through in this stream. So Ningen, take it away.
Yo, so yeah, again, as Theo said, appreciate all you guys. Anyone who did contribute, thank you very much. I'll go through the list here. So start off with Sogado. This is at the start with the $2 super chat. Raudo grew a beard and got glasses. So he's obviously referencing Minato, who was of course absent, and we had a special guest, Raudo, our boy, in the chat on the last episode. That was the one before, I think. But
that was one before.
Yeah, one before. But yeah, the shout out to Sokado, shout out to Raudo. But yes, Minato is back. We might have a guest for next time, but we'll see. But yeah, for now, it's back to the three amigos, as it were.
The three amigos.
But yeah, shout out to Sokado. Shout out to Philip Rodriguez for the $5 super chat. He says they wouldn't release a Z Broly bait banner with Teq Broly Easy A before anniversary for global, would they?
Well,
I mean,
that's to be Toko, right? So I think that, I mean, if the next Dokkan Fest is Dragon Ball Z Broly, then maybe there's like a sync banner right before anniversary or worldwide. But that's like the best I'd give it. There's you could argue that Tanabata could be Broly, I guess, right?
I mean, that's the thing is, I guess, is kind of almost like referring to what they did with Rose, right? Where it's just kind of like out of nowhere, Global just gets this extra thing. I don't think that we would, but it's certainly not impossible, right? Considering what's been going on lately with the schedule, with the Rose release and all that kind of stuff. It's definitely not impossible. It would certainly be one of those double-edged sword situations, because it would be super cool to get a really good like global first Z Broly, but then it'd just be yet another thing that's coming out right before the anniversary that you'd want to summon on. But I mean, plus, never say
characters are silly sometimes.
Never say never, I guess, but
absolutely.
I would say that I don't expect any other global first for the rest of the year.
No,
maybe. They do Tanabata.
Yeah, that was going to say, that's the one thing that we're still really like unsure on, right? Is how they're going to do Tanabata for global.
Yeah.
So yeah, that'd be interesting to see. And I mean, Tanabata could be Broly related, and then it could come out first on global. Though I imagine it would probably be after the anniversary. Although, then I guess technically, it would be first on JP. Yeah,
it would have to be at the end of this month.
God, yeah. Imagine that. Like, we just get, instead of Frieza and then LR Ginyu, we just get the two Tanabata like LRs instead for that month.
I don't.
That'd be crazy.
Well, I mean, I guess it is possible because they have done this in the past where they put something in before like what was actually coming next. But Frieza's like data besides the translations is already on global. So
yeah.
I feel like it would be
I would expect Frieza next personally.
Yes. Yeah, I think so. But yeah, obviously it remains to be seen. Hopefully we don't get anything new and unexpected, because even with the Golden Week stuff, like the Golden Week units have been really good. The Part 2 LR's coming out soon, and it's just more stuff that we want to summon for before the anniversary, which is not ideal.
It's also, also Golden Week was anticipated, and I would say Golden Week is an easy skip because all the characters come back in worldwide anyway. So.
When I say easy skip, it's logically logically it's an easy skip. But then when you see like Goku and Boo and whoever the Part 2 LR is, they're super good.
When we see Goku and Boo, then you look at Gogeta and like, who are you gonna choose?
Or Beast.
But it's right in front of you right now.
Exactly.
That's what it's called. That's what FOMO is.
That's true. That is.
But that's the thing, right? Is imagine if now this would be an interesting, just a tangent. Let me just make sure we don't have a comment about it already, because then we can talk about it in that. But no. So for the Part 2 LR, so I did see someone making a joke about it in the chat before. But what do you guys think would actually be the situation, right? So, because we have the pity, so you're guaranteed a copy of the unit after a certain amount of stones. Do you think for global players, because obviously the anniversary's coming up, most people have their sights focused on Beast Gohan. What if the Part 2 LR for Golden Week is better than Beast Gohan? Should global
to
players
summon.
summon for them?
Yeah, why would you not?
Okay. I would say no, because even if the
Oh.
character's better than Beast Gohan still destroys the game, and that'll be a much better banner to summon on, because not only do you have Beast
That's
Gohan,
fair.
you have all the easy ace that are going to be coming out during that celebration. You have a lot of good units around him. Gohan, the Krillin and 18, pretty good banner unit. Then you also are going to have discounts and tickets and 3+1 on the Beast Gohan banner.
True.
For example, right?
That's fair.
And if you have the stones to sacrifice and you want to, it's not a bad idea. But worst case scenario, you have to put 1,000 stones in to get the character, right? Or like, let's say 800 stones if you have the characters you could sell or something for limited coins, right? That's still a hefty amount of stones, and you're only getting one good unit. Well, on the Beast Gohan banner, you'll get multiple good potential units and dupes, and there's technically 2 new units that are really good with the Krillin and 18. So,
but the problem, of course, is that you could go 3,000 stones and not pull Beast Gohan. So
yeah, but that's where I'm saying there's the value in the fact that you at least are getting all those other characters.
I think it depends.
And you have to get some discounts.
A lot of that depends on the person as well. I suppose it is very situational, because obviously, like, because like for well, I say for us, like specifically, like for me, because obviously being on global, like all these other units that are getting their easy A's, and any other unit on Gohan's banner that would be considered a good pull other than Krillin and 18, I don't need any more copies of them. So if I'm going 3,000 stones and not getting Beast Gohan, it means I'm not getting anything useful for those 3,000 stones, basically.
I think the thing is, you have to keep in mind that when we advise of stuff like this, it's usually advice like free to play players, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So, like, I'm sure there's a lot of people who don't have UI Goku and Blue Evolution Vegeta rainbowed. There's, GT Duo, the Blue Vegito, right? There's Krillin 18 and Beast Gohan, obviously really good.
Yeah.
Next year the year 7 LRs are going to easy A for year 10 most likely, and they're on the banner. So, but it depends on your box and your situation. I would say generally, let's say you don't have every unit rainbowed, you don't have a lot of characters that are missing, the Beast Gohan banner will still have more value to you.
Yeah.
Because you have Beast Gohan, arguably best unit in the game. Blue Evolution Vegeta, arguably top 3 in the game. UI Goku, arguably top 3 in the game. And then on the Yellow Queen banner, you're gonna have I don't know.
You're gonna have
Bulma might be featured, maybe, but
you're gonna have physical Ultimate Gohan. You're gonna have
physical
LR. Yeah, like the
physical.
I mean like the old TUR.
Oh, the TUR, yeah.
Yeah, not the LR Ultimate Gohan. You're gonna have the AGL Ultimate Gohan TUR. You're gonna get like a LR Super Saiyan 2 Angel Vegeta,
Dinky.
like Yeezys maybe. Or
that is true. The banner value will be there. I mean, I don't know. I guess if it was more
or something,
I know this is crazy considering I'm Mr. Gohan Beast, but like, I guess it would depend on how much better the character was than Beast, because for one, I 100% agree that like you're just better off value-wise summoning on that, and not to mention just hype. Like the anniversary banners are way more exciting to summon on than whatever stinky units you'll be getting from the yellow coins. But like I guess it would depend on how much better, because I mean if he's like leaps and bounds, like the new, like assuming it's like whatever character it is, if they're like leagues above Gohan somehow, which I doubt it too, but if that's the case, then maybe. But if it's they're only a little bit better, then maybe. I mean, I guess it also kind of depends on what character it is, right? Like if it's Kid Buu, then no, but if it is Ultimate Gohan, then I would want to summon for him to link with Gohan.
See, that's another thing, right? Whereas like, if it works well, then I think that's a little different.
Plus, the other thing as well we're forgetting is that the yellow coin banners, they don't just have the pity now, but it's also the first, is it like 7 times you do 3 multis? Yeah. The third multi is a guaranteed featured. So you could pull the new, like you could pull the LR in 150 stones. You could pull them with dupes in like 500 stones with the luck on your side. Now, obviously you can on any banner, but it's the fact that it's every 3 multis, it's a guaranteed featured. Yeah, so
I see it, but I would still say I would
Yeah.
would recommend skipping.
That's interesting. But
that's my opinion. Again, as
Yeah.
a free to play player, because there's going to be 4 major banners, and
Yeah, I
they're
thought-
coming very. They're 2 months away. They're less than 2 months away, man.
Yeah.
I don't know.
But yeah, I thought it'd be interesting to explore because obviously, I mean, that's the thing with them being a yellow coin. The same thing kind of happened with Bulma, right? Where she didn't come back for a while, especially for like yellow coins. But yeah, a lot of it will depend on. I think it's very, very unlikely, of course, to make it clear, right? It's very unlikely that this part 2 yellow coin LR is going to be better than Beast Gohan, but still,
I'm gonna assume that the part 2 yellow coin LR is gonna be. I'm gonna have my judgment set to be around Ribrianne / Ginyu level. Ginyu level more likely because I think Ginyu's better than Ribrianne in a vacuum, but I mean, you could argue Ribrianne is better than Ginyu maybe. Because of the fact that she has a giant form. It's so stupid. But
yeah,
I don't know. Ribrianne's pretty good. She aged really well for 9th anniversary content, actually. Especially with that physical Ribrianne.
Rib.
Yeah. All right, well, yeah, we got a little bit off topic there, but yeah, the in terms of banners, because we kind of went off on all the different angles there, but yeah, I don't think they'll be dropping anything we're not expecting before the anniversary. But if they did, a Z Broly and then the Teq Broly EZA would definitely be up there in terms of hype. Cool. So I guess we shall see.
I think they save that though for a big celebration.
Yeah, I think something like that will be could be Tanabata, could be we'll see.
I guess to be fair, Rose was a random Dokkan Fest and a stinky unit and stinky animation, so like I guess they could really do it.
Bio Broly Dokkan Fest.
Hey, whoa, stinky unit, stinky chill on my boy Rose.
Bio Broly is gonna be the Dokkan Fest before Worldwide, right? And then Teq Broly is gonna come out. And he's gonna suck.
Yeah. No.
Yikes.
No.
I mean, we saw what they did with LR Super Saiyan 3, man. I don't know. No. I think Broly has more potential to be good because he has an active skill. I think.
Yeah, he has the potential. Even if he's kind of weird, that active skill term will be pretty crazy, right? Just like kind of like Super Vegeta. Even if the EZA overall is a bit like that active skill term will go crazy. Which will be fun.
And he'll have no key consistencies. Or key inconsistencies, right?
Yeah. But anyway, that was shout out to Philip Rodriguez for that one. We have Weave of Class with the $15 super chat. Do you think the red zone support memory will be a permanent Boo Saga buff or another category? I'm hoping for either Resurrected Warriors or Power Absorption, and then they release a collection of epic battles Boo Saga stages.
I don't know if they could do that.
So yeah, red zone support memory. What do you guys think?
Again, I hope it's Boo Saga. I'm saying Goku leaving with Oob, and then it could be Majin Buu Saga again. It could also be, I guess, Earthbred Fighters as well, maybe. Because again, if we get the new stage for the collection of epic battles, then that will be Extreme Class and Super Class Buu Saga, and they'll have bigger stats. Then we can have like a normal all Majin Buu Saga one. From the red zone. It's like that one's 10%, whilst the support memory ones would be 15%, right? In the collection of epic battles.
Yeah, I think God, imagine if it was permanent buff for Earthbred Fighters one would be so good because
that'd be crazy.
Whilst it is a category, that's you can make like whole Goku family teams, hybrid Saiyan teams, like all this stuff, and they're all Earthbred Fighters. Like that would be such a good support memory for a permanent buff. But yeah, Theo, if it wasn't Boo Saga, any particular categories you'd like to see?
I don't know. I really think like honestly that's it because I think that those category ones are so helpful for the ones that are like specifically for the like for the different categories, especially some of those categories that are a little bit more like what's the word? Like just cover more characters, right? Because obviously there's so many cats that the like characters that are on them are so limited, right? Some of these more niche ones where it's like a status rather than like a saga, right? Because obviously a saga does so many characters, and sometimes you have these weird cases where like these characters that should be on a category aren't, but if they're on a saga, it's pretty clear that they're on that category, right? So I don't know. I think it would just want to be Boo Saga. I mean, I'm like, because I don't even think we have a support memory for every like saga, do we?
I don't think so.
I think I'm pretty sure we have one for Cell Saga and maybe Namek, but I don't remember, honestly, off the top of my head.
Yeah.
But I think that there's a bunch either way that are like, just general category ones that are a little bit more like needed. And I think Buu Saga would definitely be a good one. So, and I mean, like,
yeah.
Like I've been saying, when the heck are we going to get another Buu Saga celebration after this one?
Yeah, true. If it wasn't going to be Buu Saga, Majin Power, I think would be a good one as well.
That's a good one too.
Majin Power is good.
And someone in the chat said artificial life forms, because again, that'd be another thing that make that mission on the anniversary event easier. But yeah, it could be interesting to see. But Majin Buu Saga is probably the one that we would want the most, and certainly would be very good. Plus, it fits the theme, right? Be it being the Majin Buu Saga Red Zone to get the Majin Buu Saga buff support memory. But yeah.
And again, it's like the collection of epic battles that was brought up would be super class Majin Buu Saga, extreme class Buu Saga.
Yeah.
And then we could just get Majin Buu Saga 10% compared to those being 15, right?
Yeah, true. So yeah, shout out to Weaver Class for that one. We'll have to wait and see. Obviously, the data download upcoming in the next couple of days. We'll get the info about the Buhan stage, but if we don't get any info in that about the support memory or anything, that will pretty much confirm that there will be more stages, and we will have to wait and see what the support memory is going to be. So shout out to Philip Rodriguez for a $2 super chat. He says, #Heroes Agenda forever. That's right, you know it. The Heroes Agenda will never die. I get the once that Buhan stage comes out, one of the first videos I will do is trying to no items it with the Heroes team. Hopefully it will be possible. We'll see how that goes. But yeah, the Heroes Agenda will continue. I mean, I've seen screenshots now. I've been trying it on my streams in the morning every day to do my 6 attempts to beat Super Buu with no items. And I've gotten to the point where literally if I'd got like Limit Breaker Vegito had done 1 extra super or actually gotten a crit, I would have won. But then he didn't, and then I get killed. But I've started seeing now some screenshots of people actually having done it. So it is still doable to beat every event, at least on global, with the Heroes team. So we will be keeping up the Heroes Agenda as always.
Every event? All right, beat Baton with the Heroes team.
Ha 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 ha. Beat Baton.
That's crazy. That's crazy. That's crazy.
Get him out of here.
Yeah, sorry, we're kicking you. From
the ultimate Clash with Heroes. Let's go.
I mean, I actually do always beat the last boss of Ultimate Clash with the Heroes team.
Really? Actually, that's a good point. Are there enough Heroes units that you could do a full?
Well, yeah, because it's
run?
The best. Well, not the full Battlefield run. I don't think there's enough. Is there? Let me see how many Heroes characters there actually are.
Low-key, that's a video for you right there.
Heroes is leaving. Beating the
entire Ultimate Clash. I don't think there is. I need to check. Well, the problem is as well, like, I mean, I guess to be fair, all of the lower banner ones, they do all have random like Heroes 130% like leader skills and stuff. So
yeah,
probably would be doable in that sense. Because obviously for the final boss, you just use Limit Breaker for Geo and then Super Saiyan 3 Rose, and they're both 200% leaders for Heroes. So you've got your Battlefield team has a full 200% leader skill. So being the last boss is pretty straightforward.
There's like roughly 50-52, so we're about 20 off.
So yeah, can't do it. But yeah, Heroes.
Yeah, you know what you should do, low-key? I think just to finish it off, you should just like not use them for the first stage, and then just do a video of it. You could
theoretically early stages run the teams with like half the team. Right, and beat that first stage.
Like you should. I mean, I don't know. Those first stages are so easy anyway. Like literally, ours could beat them. I swear. It's like just use the free-to-play teams and then use the.
No, but then because if you use other units, then it's not a full Heroes run.
Yeah, so you got to do like against like who's the first boss at the moment for global? Is it still? It's not Chaozu. Is it Jacko? Just use like 2 Heroes units as the 2, like the lead and the sub lead, and then have 5 Cybermen. But anyway, we'll see. But yes, regardless if what happens in the future, the Heroes Agenda will continue as long as possible. I'll still be, when the anniversary comes out on global, trying to do as much of the anniversary content as we can with the Heroes team. I did do the Golden Frieza Red Zone with the Heroes team when it was out on JP.
Golden Frieza Red Zone
on the private server. But I mean, obviously, I know that's not the hardest event, but like I say, we'll keep doing as much of the anniversary content as we can. So yeah,
I think
it ain't no Ultimate Clash,
You could probably be Beerus with the heroes team.
That's what I'm hoping, because then at least we can do the full movie bosses Red Zone 2. That'll be good. But we will see. That'll be project for the anniversary, so stay tuned. But yeah, Heroes Agenda forever. Shout out to Philip. Then we have shout out to the boy Raldo-kun, as previously mentioned, our guest a couple of episodes ago. Re-upped his channel membership. Member of the channel for 23 months.
Wow.
So 1 month away from the Diamond Timebreaker Mask badge. You'll love to see that. And then he says, 23 months, love my Dokkan trio. So, yep, shout out to the boy. Yes, and then, he also then gifted 5 memberships as well. So appreciate our boy Raldo in the chat. And that makes all of the contributions and shout outs for today. So we appreciate all of you guys helping to keep the show going. Appreciate the generosity. And that is it for those.
W. Well, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for coming through to today's stream. Obviously, we had a good one. Some ups and downs, unfortunately, in our discussion with the recent news. But hey, realistically, besides, of course, Gohan himself, we have a lot of, it's basically like we're just going to have to wait and see what happens for a lot of this stuff when it comes to divers and heroes, when it comes to the Part 2 LR. All of this is basically just we are now in the hyperbolic time chamber, essentially just waiting to see what will happen. So with that being said, thank you guys so much for watching this episode. Of course, like we said before, next week we will know the Part 2 LR, and they should be out by then. So we will, of course, be talking about that next week, and I'm sure we'll have some other shenanigans. I guess actually that red zone that we were talking about now we'll have by then. So that will be interesting to see what that ends up being. But thank you guys so much for watching. We always appreciate your support. And with that being said, have a fantastic weekend, everybody, and we will catch you in the next one. Have a good one.
Peace out.